Chapter 1203. Lu Chen, why don't we leave first? Gu Yen looked at Lu Chen worriedly. He won't let us off after killing 3 of Longevity's guests. Lu Chen shook his head. What's there to be afraid of? I'll wait for him to come. If I don't teach him a lesson today, I'll have come for nothing. While they were talking, dozens of figures suddenly appeared in front of the herb garden. There were about 40 to 50 of them. The leader was dressed in white, handsome and cold. He looked coldly at the 2 corpses on the ground, then narrowed his eyes at the loose immortals on earth. Finally, his gaze landed on Lu Chen, who was sitting cross-legged. It's Longevity, Immortal Master. Gu Yen and the rest's expression changed. Not only was Longevity, Immortal Master here, but he also brought more than 40 loose immortal guests. This is really troublesome. You killed them? That person's tone was bone-chilling. Lu Chen stood up and looked at him calmly. He sneered. That's right. Did you know they were Longevity's guests and loose immortals? So what if I knew? They hurt my friends and attacked without any explanation. I could only teach them to be quiet. Longevity narrowed his eyes. When he was sizing up Lu Chen, he suddenly saw Lu Chen's badge. Human King Realm. Human King Realm? You're a Human King Realm mortal? Lu Chen smiled. Yes, there was an accident during the tribulation, so I came directly to the 7th heaven. A loose immortal beside him laughed maniacally. A mortal dares to cause trouble in the immortal region. Don't you know that everyone here is loose immortal? Lu Chen pursed his lips and waved the god-slaying spear in his hand. I know. For example, the 3 I killed were 6th tribulation loose immortals. Unfortunately, they weren't strong enough. That person's laughter stopped abruptly. It didn't matter if this guy was Human King Realm, immortal, or something else. 3 loose immortals had died in his hands. That was the truth. You're really arrogant. Sangli and the others are only 6th tribulation loose immortals, and they haven't cultivated for long, so they haven't reached the upper limit. Do you think you're the strongest loose immortal just because you killed them? Lu Chen smiled. So you're saying that you've reached your limit? If you are not convinced, you can give it a try. That person snorted coldly. Just as he was about to step out, Chong Xing pulled him back. Immortal Master, Chong Xing didn't answer him. Instead, he looked at Lu Chen. You were able to kill Sangli and the other 2, which means that you have some strength. These 3 were weak, so it's fine if they were killed. I, Chong Xing, do not keep useless retainers. I wonder if Your Excellency is interested in acknowledging me as its master? If you have this idea, I can let bygones be bygones and take you in as a follower of me, a 5 tribulation true immortal. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. What was this guy thinking? You actually want me to recognize you as my master? However, on the other hand, it wasn't hard to see that even high-level itinerant immortals like retainers were nothing in the eyes of a true immortal. Li Shang and the others were even less worth mentioning in his eyes. It seems that true immortals really are emotionless creatures. Lu Chen shook his head. Unfortunately, I don't want to acknowledge you as my master. Even if I wanted to, you're not worthy. What did you say? Chong Xing's expression instantly changed. His face darkened. I, a true immortal, am willing to take in a mortal like you. You actually don't know what's good for you. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Who said that mortals have to rely on immortals like you? Chong Xing, if you don't want to die, apologize to my friends right now and give them sufficient compensation. Otherwise, I don't care if you're a 5 tribulation true immortal or itinerant immortal. If you can't even be a human, how can you be an immortal? It's better to be a ghost. When Chong Xing heard this, a rare anger appeared on his calm face. How arrogant! A mere mortal dares to be so arrogant in front of me, the immortal master. Fine, I'll show you how big the gap between a true immortal and an itinerant immortal is. With a boom, Chong Xing's body erupted with shocking spiritual energy. Even the defense array of the herb garden was shaken to the point of collapse. The clouds in the sky tumbled wildly, and the wind and clouds within 100 miles suddenly changed. The immortal aura of a 5-tribulation true immortal was already so terrifying. It was no exaggeration to say that the residual power of Chang Sheng's spiritual energy was something that Lu Chen had never seen before. Whether it was Mu Xian, the soul of 10,000 underworld in the river of forgetfulness, the king of hell, the lord of the 6th heaven underworld, or Jiren, or the old devil Tianyin, they were nothing compared to Chang Sheng. This was the strength of a true immortal. And 2 years later, the opponent Lu Chen encountered was even stronger than him by who knows how many times. Jin Luan clenched his fists tightly, and his forehead was already sweating. This Chang Sheng should be a 3-star true immortal, right? Gu Yan, do you know his battle record in the Immortal War? 5 tribulation referred to Chang Sheng's potential, while 3-star referred to the current level of a true immortal. There were no itinerant immortals of this level, only true immortals, because only true immortals could open the path to immortality. Gu Yan said, Chang Sheng is indeed a 3-star true immortal, and his battle record is 4 wins out of 4. 4 wins out of 4? Doesn't that mean he has never tasted defeat? Jin Luan's eyes widened. It seemed that this guy was quite powerful among true immortals of the same level. And Lu Chen was still immortal. At this moment, Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, holding the void god-slaying spear, and stared at Chang Sheng. I don't kill nameless people. Tell me your name. Chang Sheng's spiritual energy was as vast as the ocean, and his voice became extremely solemn. Remember it well. Solipsistic. Lu Chen said coldly. This time, Lu Chen did not let his guard down. This time, he was facing a true immortal, who was definitely the strongest of all his enemies. And now, he did not even have the celestial demon symbiosis. Solipsistic, you are indeed extremely arrogant. Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then I can only kill you. A long sword appeared in Chang Sheng's hand. He suddenly grabbed the long sword with one hand, and his figure instantly rushed forward. Drunken immortal star stepping steps. Immortal technique, daybreak, purple lightning shadow. Chang Sheng turned into a purple lightning bolt and shot towards Lu Chen. It's an immortal technique, Gu Yan said in horror. Astral form. So fast. Jin Luan was also extremely shocked. They had not seen a true immortal in action for a long time. His first move is an immortal technique killer move. Not good, Lu Chen, be careful. Li Shang's eyes widened, and his muscles unconsciously tightened. The opponent's speed was too fast. Lu Chen quickly activated the celestial demon Heavenly Eyes. Void God-slaying spear Dao, emptiness spear. The black spear in Lu Chen's hand suddenly exploded with a wave of spiritual energy, as if another form of the spear had awakened. If the god-slaying spear that killed the individual immortals previously only displayed the power of the silver gallbladder, then now it was displaying the power of the god-slaying silver gallbladder. A spear shadow and a sword shadow instantly collided head-on, erupting with terrifying spiritual energy aftershocks. The defense array of the herb garden at the side was directly shattered. Many individual immortals, whether they were Chang Sheng's hangers-on or Li Shang and the others, were all pushed back 100 meters by the shockwave. On the ground in the center of the battlefield, a deep curved pit with a diameter of hundreds of meters suddenly appeared. At the same time, 2 figures, one black and one white, violently collided, and both were pushed back. But just when Li Shang and the others thought that both sides were defeated, the black figure forcibly stopped its momentum and then rushed towards Chang Sheng. A 5 tribulation true immortal is nothing more than this. Die. Void God-slaying Dao, army breaking. Chapter 1204. Chang Sheng did not expect this mortal solipsistic to be so ferocious. Without waiting for the residual force to dissipate, he took it head-on and turned around to charge. You can actually take my immortal technique head-on. Seeing that Lu Chen was about to launch a powerful attack, Chang Xing did not dare to be careless. He pinched his fingers together and a long sword shot out. Psychic Immortal Sword Art, Imperial Sword Demon Slaying. That long sword transformed into a 100-meter-long sword shadow and shot towards Lu Chen. Destruction of 1,000 armies and Imperial Sword Demon Slaying collided head-on with a loud boom. A terrifying spiritual energy fluctuation exploded on the battlefield again. The Imperial Sword technique was similar to the owner's spiritual energy. Chang Xing was shaken by the huge force. Like a beam of white light, he slammed into the ground and created a huge pit. Not long after, a black figure stood in front of Chang Xing, who was covered in blood. He said coldly, "Fellow true immortal, I'm sorry. Can we talk about the apology now?" Chang Xing felt that his body was about to fall apart. He fell to the ground, his face ashen. He looked at Lu Chen in horror. You're really immortal? Impossible. How can a mortal fight an immortal?" Lu Chen snorted. "Watch your words. I'm not an ordinary mortal. I'm the human king." After saying that, Lu Chen walked in front of Chang Xing, grabbed him by the collar with one hand, and carried him out of the big pit. Arriving in front of Gu Yan and the rest, Lu Chen threw Chang Xing to the ground. "Senior Gu Yan, let him take a look at your injuries." Gu Yan still hadn't recovered from the shock, and his mind was blank. This true immortal was carried over by Lu Chen like a little chick. If he did not see it with his own eyes, who would believe it? "Senior Gu Yan?" Lu Chen called out again. Gu Yan came to his senses. He took off his shirt and carefully untied the bandage on his chest. Then, he turned around. His wound was on his back. Horrifying whip marks crisscrossed. His skin was eroded, and bones could be seen in many places. The injuries of the others were even more serious than Gu Yan's. This was also the first time that Lu Chen had seen Gu Yan's injuries. He was instantly enraged. He gritted his teeth and said, "I didn't know that you were injured so badly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let those 3 die so easily. When Sang Li and the others whipped us, they didn't allow us to use spiritual energy to block it. Otherwise, the punishment would be doubled." Lu Chen clenched his fists and glared at Chang Xing. He bellowed, "Kneel!" Longevity's eyes instantly widened. This fellow wanted him, a dignified true immortal, to kneel before these weak loose immortals? Solipsistic, don't go overboard. Lu Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The God Destroyer's spear instantly burst into flames. "Do you think I don't dare to kill you?" After saying that, Lu Chen pierced Longevity's shoulder with his spear. "If not for the fact that you didn't participate in this matter personally, I wouldn't even give you the chance to apologize." The scorching underworld earth fire burned Longevity's body. He was in so much pain that his face turned pale. In the end, he couldn't take it anymore and knelt before Gu Yan and the others. Seeing this, the loose immortal mercenaries of the Longevity sect were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out. A true immortal kneeling before a loose immortal? This was unheard of in the 7th heaven. What was even more inconceivable was that this was all because of a mortal. Spare my life." Longevity clenched his teeth and squeezed out these words. Lu Chen then pulled out his God Destroyer's spear. Longevity looked up at Gu Yan and the others. In the end, he lowered his noble head. "I'm sorry. It was I who connived with my mercenaries and offended everyone. From today onwards, you can remove your master relationship. I will give you 500 Fushi pills, 500 divine body pills, 500 mad spirit pills, and 500 spirit tablets as compensation. Please calm down." Gu Yan and the others looked at each other in shock. They didn't expect that the Longevity Immortal Master would not only kneel in front of them to beg for forgiveness, but also offer such generous compensation. Gu Yan didn't know what to do for a moment. After Longevity finished speaking, he didn't look at Gu Yan and the others' reactions. Instead, he looked directly at Lu Chen. Obviously, He was afraid that the malefactor wouldn't be satisfied. That guy was too ruthless. All he did was talk back, and he didn't even inform him. He almost crippled him. If he didn't take action with such a ruthless person, he might even get shot in the right shoulder. That shot didn't feel good at all. Without waiting for Gu Yan and the others to agree, Lu Chen spoke. That's all? I think you still haven't realized your mistake. Longevity spat out a mouthful of blood. It wasn't clear whether it was because of his injury or because he was angered by Lu Chen's words. Solipsistic you. The compensation I gave had already far exceeded what they needed to recover. Is this still not enough? The physical injuries are barely enough. But what about the mental injuries? Lu Chen looked at Longevity and tried to ask for compensation for the mental injuries. Mental trauma. Chongqing was stunned. What the hell was this? Unfortunately, he didn't dare to ask more now. If he lost his life, it wouldn't be a matter of compensation anymore. Then what kind of compensation do you want? Can you make it clear? Lu Chen looked at the aggrieved Longevity and reminded him, Your herb garden is quite big, the scenery is beautiful and the spirit energy is abundant. It's a good place to heal mental injuries. Longevity immediately understood. Compensate. This Qingyue herb garden should also be compensated to everyone. Only then can it heal everyone's mental injuries. Oh right, I will also give you the itinerant immortals here. Longevity completely didn't want the lousy stall that Sangli left for him. If this malefactor were to withdraw again, this guy would definitely extort him again. Lu Chen looked at Gu Yan and the others. Seniors, are you satisfied with this compensation? Or should we just kill him and be done with it? Longevity was trembling with fear as he listened at the side. It was already like this and that guy still didn't seem to be satisfied. When Gu Yan heard, he jumped in fright. To be able to make a true immortal master apologize was already something they didn't dare to think about, much less compensation. Longevity's compensation was already very terrifying. A large amount of pills, 500 spirit tablets, and a small herb garden. But Gu Yan still said, We don't need the pills. But we want 1,000 spirit tablets. Hearing Gu Yan's request, Lu Chen's heart warmed. Gu Yan wanted the spirit tablets for him. Longevity was afraid of Lu Chen but not Gu Yan. Hearing Gu Yan's request, his attitude immediately changed. 1,000 spirit tablets? You are. Lu Chen interrupted Chongqing's words and said coldly, Just 1,000 pieces. I want the elixirs and 1,000 spirit tablet. I'll give you 2 hours. If you can't compensate me, I'll let your right-hand man collect your corpse. Longevity didn't dare to contradict Lu Chen. Although his flesh hurt terribly, but thinking of Lu Chen's methods, he could only endure it. Then alright. I wonder if I can get someone to gather it now? Longevity looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen didn't say anything, which could be considered as tacit consent. Longevity stood up shakily and called for the 2 retainers and itinerant immortals, ordering them to bring the compensation items. Immortal Master, 1,000 spirit tablets. Even our residence doesn't have that many, right? Longevity exploded. Don't talk nonsense with me. You must bring them all here within an hour. Chapter 1205. Li Shang and the others are currently taking stock of the resources in the 9-star Immortal Cave. A few of them are already grinning from ear to ear. Ha ha, the harvest of this robbery is too incredible. In the past, when we were rich, we might not have thought much of it, but after reaching the 7th layer of heaven, we have never seen so many resources. Golden Luan laughs until her eyes disappear. The pills are not too high grade, but these 1,000 spirit tablets and herb garden are definitely a big blow to Chongqing's vitality. Lu Chen comes over. Senior Golden Luan, how can this be called robbery? We should be fighting for legitimate rights and interests. Good. Anyway, you are the bandit leader. Whatever you say is right. Li Shang happily takes stock of the pills. Lu Chen is speechless. Li Shang is even more excessive, directly calling him bandit leader. Senior Gu Yan, you guys use these pills to treat your injuries. If you need any more pills, just let me know. Lu Chen says. Gu Yan says, actually, these physical injuries can always be healed slowly. These pills are too wasteful on us. It is better to exchange them for some spirit tablets. With so many pills, we can probably exchange them for 300 to 400 spirit tablets. Lu Chen slightly frowns. Only 300 to 400 spirit tablets? I heard you guys say that one bone-melting pill can be exchanged for 6 to 7 spirit tablets. And these are all low-grade pills. They can't be compared to the bone-melting pill. The person who sold the bone-melting pill is called Xian Hua. He says, bone-melting pill is a high-grade immortal pill given by Jiutian. It can melt bones and regenerate them. Originally, we wanted to wait for you to come up and save them for a rainy day. But seeing that you need spirit tablets more, we discussed and exchanged them for spirit tablet. Lu Chen nods. Although this group of people is unfamiliar with him, in order to help him, they did their best. Whether it is to protect Earth or not, in short, this friendship, Lu Chen will remember it. But in the future, with the herb garden, we can refine pills ourselves. It can be considered as having a more stable income. Lu Chen smiles slightly. He wants to go down the herb garden, in fact, this is also his purpose. Oh, by the way, Lu Chen, there are still 40 loose immortal servants outside. Longevity gave them to us along with the medicinal garden. However, they may not be willing to acknowledge us as their masters. After all, we don't have any true immortals here. Lu Chen thought about it. Such a big herb garden needed people to take care of it, and these people were necessary. I'll go ask them. After saying that, Lu Chen walked out of the 9 Stars Immortal Cave. There are 40 loose immortals standing in front of the cave entrance. When they see Lu Chen come out, they immediately become nervous. Fortunately, Gu Yan and the others had also come out. These people were familiar with Gu Yan. After all, they had worked together in the herb garden for a few years and were usually bullied by Sang Li and the others, so their relationship was quite good. Seeing that these people were nervous, Gu Yan stepped forward and said, "Everyone, don't be nervous. We've all been bullied by Sang Li before. I promise that I won't make things difficult for you." With Gu Yan's words, everyone let down their guard. After helping Lu Chen ease the situation, Gu Yan looked at Lu Chen, indicating that he could ask the questions. Lu Chen looked at these people. Many of them were wrapped in bandages. He could already imagine that these people used to have a similar status as Gu Yan. "Seniors, I am solipsistic." Lu Chen stepped forward and cupped his fist. Level, Human King Realm. Everyone immediately went into an uproar. Really, Human King Realm? I heard you mention it when you were talking to Longevity, Immortal Master. Could it be true? Human King Realm? Why would there be a Human King Realm in the 7th heaven? A mortal? How could a mortal reach the 7th heaven? Faced with all these questions, Lu Chen only smiled faintly and revealed half of his badge. "I'm indeed Human King Realm. I'm also the criminal you're talking about. When I was undergoing tribulation in the 6th heaven, something happened. However, that's not the main point. Next, I want to ask if you're willing to stay and help us take care of the herb garden." "This is really Human King Realm." An old man revealed a difficult expression. "Thank you for being honest with us. However, I've never heard of a rogue immortal recognizing a mortal as his master. Therefore, I'm afraid we won't recognize you as our master." Lu Chen still had a smile on his face. "I don't need you to recognize me as your master." "You don't need me to recognize you as my master." Lu Chen nodded. "Immortal Master's actions have nothing to do with me. What I'm asking is if you're willing to stay and help me take care of the herb garden, not if you're willing to recognize me as your master. This Qin Yu herb garden is quite big. My friend's manpower is limited and definitely can't take care of everything. Therefore, I need more people to help." As for the people who stayed behind to help, Senior Gu Yan, Just give them the usual remuneration. Don't give them one spirit tablet a year. We don't have any extra spirit tablets, so just take 20% of the harvest that each person is in charge of. Gu Yan's eyes widened. 20%. That's much more than the remuneration that longevity gave before. Lu Chen's expression was indifferent. Longevity is longevity, we are us. These people who were chosen to work in the herb garden should be skilled in taking care of herbs. With this skill, they are the talents that we need. If there is no one to take care of the herb garden, it will still be abandoned. Whoever takes care of it well will receive more remuneration. This is very reasonable. Hearing Lu Chen's conditions, everyone was in disbelief. 20% of the herb garden's harvest? Even Sang Li and the others' income was far from that. One had to know that in the past, not only did the herb garden belong to the longevity immortal master, but they also belonged to the longevity immortal master. Being paid was already good enough. Commission? That was something that they didn't even dare to dream of. However, when it came to Lu Chen, it actually became real. You're really willing to give us 20%? The old man asked in shock. It was as if he couldn't believe what he heard with his own ears. Lu Chen said with a smile, I always keep my word. No, whether you keep your word or not doesn't depend on your mouth. You must sign a contract. Ah? Sign a contract? How? Lu Chen was confused. Once we acknowledge a master, a contract will naturally be formed. Sir, you must specify this point in the contract. I don't think so. Didn't you say that they won't acknowledge a master? Lu Chen didn't want to acknowledge a master himself. At the same time, he didn't want others to acknowledge him as their master. He could only accept weapon spirits and battle pets. Following a bunch of underlings was actually quite troublesome. Lu Chen, even a true immortal master doesn't mind having too many underlings. Gu Yan whispered to Lu Chen. You should know that the weakest of your underlings are itinerant immortals. Lu Chen suddenly looked at Gu Yan. I don't want that. How about this? They acknowledge you as their master. Gu Yan had been seriously suggesting this, but when Lu Chen suddenly pushed it out, he was shocked. Acknowledge me as their master? Yes. Lu Chen suddenly realized that he was a genius. Since you are familiar with them, it will be easier for you to communicate. Moreover, you are also an itinerant immortal. It will be better than a mortal like me. But my strength. Gu Yan hesitated. Lu Chen smiled and looked at Gu Yan. Whoever dares to touch you, they will have to ask me first. Gu Yan finally saw the light. Acknowledging him as master and acknowledging Lu Chen as master was actually the same. All right, then it's settled. Senior Gu Yan, I will leave the rest to you. I will go and see what I can get. Robbing feels so good. Lu Chen muttered as he returned to the cultivation room. Gu Yan looked at Lu Chen's sloppy back and couldn't help but laugh. Still not admitting it. You already said that it was a robbery. Chapter 1206. Lu Chen now had more than 1,000 spirit tablet. For the second piece of equipment, he naturally chose the 9 transformations of gods and demons. I finally extracted it. Lu Chen let out a sigh of relief. The god and demon set is really ridiculously expensive. There were still 160 to 70 spirit tablets left. Lu Chen thought for a while and tried to extract some other technique. 9 Steps of the Void was more expensive, using 150 tablet. 7 Stars Chasing the Moon was much cheaper, only requiring 15 tablet. And Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain only required 5 tablets. It was simply too cheap. Let's extract these 3 first. 2 movement techniques and 1 support technique. The spirit tablets that Lu Chen had just obtained were gone before he could even warm them. However, Li Shang and the rest had already exchanged most of the pills for spirit tablet. He should still be able to extract some technique. I don't know when I can mention Shattering the Void and 1 Sword Piercing the Heavens. There's also world-destroying 9 dragons, heaven and earth annihilation. I'm all ears. Triple door. Lu Chen felt a headache as he spoke. His techniques were not restricted by his profession and their levels were high. Moreover, he still needed to extract the God and Demon set. Even the God and Demon limitless sword was not in line. It could be seen how tight the spirit tablets were. There was not much time left. Lu Chen had to race against time. The God and Demon set might take some time. I only have these few techniques now. I feel that there are too many restrictions. Lu Chen shook his head. Suddenly, Lu Chen thought of Sky Pilfer. Senior Sky Pilfer, was the technique that you gave me extracted? Stinky brat, you finally thought of it. Sky Pilfer's voice rang in Lu Chen's mind. You forgot that my previous master was a true immortal. Tell me, was the technique that I gave you extracted? Lu Chen was suddenly enlightened. How could he forget about this? The first condition for the fusion of the Void God destroying spear and the silver gallbladder was to extract the silver gallbladder and the materials. Whether it was the Void God destroying spear or the Void God destroying spear, they were both items that could be extracted directly. Thinking of this, Lu Chen hurriedly took out the technique. Wait, Sky Pilfer suddenly said. Even if you want to learn, you can't learn it like this. Ah? Senior Heaven Pilfering, then how should I learn it? I've told you about this cultivation method before. Everyone has a different understanding of it, so the power they can unleash will be different. Lu Chen nodded. Heaven Thief had indeed told him about this. Therefore, the main point of this immortal technique is not to learn, but to comprehend. Senior Heaven Pilfer, please enlighten me. Lu Chen said respectfully. Don't call me senior. I am now your weapon spirit. And, if you want to comprehend this spear art, 2 years is definitely not enough. You need to head to the Immortal City to find a space to comprehend immortal art. Heaven Pilfering said, as the saying goes, immortal techniques comprehend space. There are almost no spirit energy fluctuations in space, so you can't cultivate and increase your spirit energy. However, it can give you enough time to comprehend the technique in your mind. Lu Chen frowned. Just like the illusory formation of the Purple Sky Palace? That's right. However, the illusory formation of the 7th heaven is not enough. In the 7th heaven, there are all kinds of cultivation grounds. Some immortal caves have such places. However, we definitely can't enter the cultivation grounds of other immortal caves. It's better to look for the cultivation grounds of the Immortal City. Senior Heaven Pilfering, do you know where it is? It's been too long. I stayed in the 6th layer of heaven for thousands of years. My original master didn't come from the 7th layer of heaven. How many years has it been? I don't remember much about the 7th layer of heaven. Lu Chen was stunned. The original owner of the Void God destroying spear was in existence higher than the 7th heaven? If that was the case, it was normal for him to not remember. Just like now, Lu Chen also couldn't remember what equipment would drop from the 1st heaven. In short, there should be some in the Immortal City. Don't use the spirit tablets that your clan members exchanged for. Bring them to the Immortal City. The spirit tablets can be used as currency. Lu Chen nodded. At night, Li Shang and Jin Luan had already returned. They brought 315 spirit tablets and handed them to Lu Chen. Lu Chen, these were exchanged with those pills. Lu Chen asked, Senior Gu Yan and the others pills, leave it for them. Don't worry. Only then did Lu Chen put away the spiritual tablet. Senior Li Shang, do you know if there are any big immortal cities nearby? Big? How big do you want? Human Immortal Domain has 3 immortal reverent cities, 8 main cities, 16 high immortal cities, 79. Wait. Lu Chen hurriedly interrupted Li Shang's words. Those with cultivation method spaces have better effect. Cultivation method spaces? Then low-grade immortal cities have them. As for the effects, it's definitely better in big cities. Li Shang said. On the side, Jin Luan thought for a while and said, Li Shang, actually this might not be the case. How could it not be the case? Li Shang said unconvinced, as long as it's a high-grade cultivation space, how could those Sengoku immortal reverends let it go? Li Shang, have you forgotten about Changshu City? Changshu City. Li Shang suddenly remembered. Oh right, Changshu City is indeed an exception. Lu Chen, you can go to Changshu City and give it a try. Lu Chen asked puzzledly, what's so special about Changshu City? Li Shang replied, although Changshu City is a low-grade immortal city, this city's cultivation space is very strange. They have a total of 999 cultivation spaces. Each space is not big, but the number of them can be said to be the highest in the 7th layer of heaven. These 999 cultivation spaces are connected to each other. They are in a symbiotic state but also in a state of competition. When the cultivation space opens, 999 people can cultivate inside at the same time. In the middle of these 999 cultivation spaces, there is a cultivation technique testing field. There is a pagoda spirit here and there are 9 true immortal war spirits guarding it. 999 people will challenge at the same time within a set time. The winner will continue to cultivate while the loser's space will be swallowed by other spaces. Of course, it is not really swallowed, but the time in this room will be drawn into their own room. Lu Chen listened as if he was listening to a book. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he still had this feeling. In Jiutian, there were all kinds of strange things. Jin Luan said, some people say that these cultivation spaces are living things, but we do not know if it is true. In short, if you are strong enough, cultivating here is more worthwhile than cultivating in the immortal Reverend City. Lu Chen frowned. Such a good place. There should be many true immortals who come here to cultivate, right? No, those who go to the 1000-position array are basically all loose immortals. Li Shang added, Changshu does have many true immortals, but they are not here to cultivate, they are here to select their own followers. If you can last until the end, there will be many powerful true immortals who want to recruit you. Lu Chen nodded. It seemed that this was the place he was looking for. Then I will leave immediately and go to Changshu, Lu Chen said. Li Shang took out 3 teleportation talismans and gave them to Lu Chen. Lu Chen, our battle strength is too low and we will be a burden if we follow you. These are teleportation talismans, I will mark the location for you. 2 of them are the 9-star Grotto Heaven and 1 is Changshu City. At a critical moment it can even save your life. But you must remember that almost all true immortals have god-chasing talismans which can track teleportation talismans, so you must not be careless. Lu Chen took the teleportation talismans. Thank you, Senior Li Shang. I will go then. Chapter 1207. When Lu Chen used the teleportation talisman, he saw a large city not far away. This place was actually the lowest level city in the immortal domain? Lu Chen really did not dare to believe it. There is indeed nothing in the 7th heaven that a teleportation talisman can't settle. Lu Chen shook his head. I originally wanted to let 10 Wings see the world, but now this guy is also on vacation. As a human, Lu Chen successfully infiltrated Changshu City. The reason why even Lu Chen felt that he had infiltrated was mainly because he was surrounded by all kinds of immortals. As a mortal, he felt somewhat different. The surrounding immortals all had cold eyes, they did not care about other people's matters at all. Becoming an immortal is indeed boring. Lu Chen muttered. Not far away, more than 10 loose immortals clustered around a young man, they became the most lively crowd here. Immortal Master, this time we will definitely be able to recruit the best loose immortal guest. A tall and thin man said. That young man had an indifferent expression. That goes without saying, who doesn't want to become the guest of Immortal Master Tianjin? I am just afraid that no one will be able to pass the third level of the trial. I also don't want anyone below the third level. Of course, how can anyone who can enter our magnificent heaven immortal cave be weak? Once Lu Chen heard them, he knew that they were talking about the cultivation space. As long as he followed them, he would be able to find the location of the cultivation space. Quietly following this group of people, sure enough, not long after, Lu Chen saw a towering building that occupied an extremely wide area. The style of this building was completely different from the surrounding simple buildings. It was more like a towering cliff in the city, split into two from the middle. The periphery was jagged rocks of strange shape. The middle of the crack was about 30 to 40 meters apart. On the two sides of the cliff, there were stone houses one after another. The houses were not sealed, there were only half of them, about the same size. There were close to 1,000 of them. Between these houses, there were many vines that connected to each other. In the middle of the two sides of the cliff, there was a strange gray tower. It was shaped like a tower, with 9 compartments, 100 meters tall, but there were no decorations or carvings on the outside. It was uneven, as if it was made of natural rock. There were similar vines wrapped around the outside of the tower's spirit. What a strange tower! It was Lu Chen's first time seeing such an irregular tower. No wonder people say that there are living things here. These vines are probably the channels that devour the time in each room. However, he was certain that this was the cultivation space that he was looking for. Although this place was grotesquely shaped, it was surrounded by a flat and standard viewing area. At this moment, more than half of the spectators were already seated in the spectator area. It seemed that many people were paying attention to this cultivation method trial. Lu Chen quickly walked towards the cultivation area. Is there anyone else who wants to participate in the cultivation method competition? A middle-aged man shouted from not far away. There are still 49 seats left. This batch will be full soon. Lu Chen hurried over. Brother, I want to participate. 50 spirit tablets. That person didn't even look carefully at Lu Chen and directly quoted the price. 50 spirit tablets? Lu Chen felt his heart ache. He only had about 300 spirit tablets in total. I'll participate. Here are 50 spirit tablets. While Ku Chen was still hesitating, someone beside him had already paid and entered. When Lu Chen saw this, it seemed that he couldn't save this money. He carefully took out 50 spirit tablets and handed them over. All right, this is your number. There's a map of room numbers in the cultivation area. Don't get the wrong one. Hurry up and go in. It's about to start. That person warned, then ignored Lu Chen and continued to shout. There are still 43 seats left. Those who want to enter the big cave abode, don't miss this opportunity. Lu Chen followed a few people who had entered together and walked in. Before entering the cultivation area, there was a wooden sign on both sides of the path. The sign was arranged according to the wall on both sides, and the number of each room was marked. Lu Chen's room was 101. It was a few levels above the wall on the left. It was an inconspicuous position. The others also found their rooms, and with a movement technique, they moved into their rooms. Lu Chen also jumped into his room. There was only one futon in the room. Half of it was exposed, and the other half was inside the wall. From here, one could clearly see the people in the audience. Outside the room, there were thick vines that crawled all over the wall like creeper vines. Lu Chen walked in front of the futon and suddenly realized that there was a small vine beside the futon. He looked at the vine strangely. There's such a plant in the room? Not long after, someone below said, All right, everyone is here. All 999 cultivation rooms are full. Immortal Masters, please pay attention to the itinerant immortals you admire. The cultivation technique trial is about to begin. All cultivators entering the cultivation room, please take note. When the immortal vines cover the exit of the room, the trial will begin. At that time, all of you will enter the cultivation space at the same time. In the first stage, 1 hour of cultivation here is equivalent to 1 month of cultivation in the outside world. When the immortal vines open, please enter the cultivation tower directly. The cultivation tower has its own space. There is no need to wait for others to challenge you. You must use your own cultivation technique to challenge. Once you use other cultivation techniques, the pagoda will automatically withdraw you. If you succeed in the challenge, you can return to your room to continue cultivation. The effects of the second stage of cultivation technique will be determined by the number of people who succeed in the pagoda. In general, every time the immortal vines in your room devour a vines in another room, the effects will double. Lu Chen finally knew that the little thing beside his futon was so powerful that it could draw time from other rooms. Little guy, you're quite strong. Lu Chen touched the little vine. The little vine actually twisted around a little. It seemed like it liked being touched. Alright, little guy, let's see how far we can go. At this moment, the huge vine outside the door began to wriggle and quickly sealed the open entrance. Lu Chen's room suddenly became dark. The little vine twisted its body and patted the futon. It seemed like it wanted Lu Chen to sit down and cultivate. Lu Chen smiled and sat on the futon. Heaven Stealing spoke, Lu Chen, the cultivation technique here should be of the same nature as the void god-destroying spear art. You need to comprehend it yourself. The stronger the cultivation technique, wouldn't it be easier to pass the pagoda? Why? Are you worried that the void god-destroying spear art isn't strong enough? Don't worry. I dare say that unless you use the divine demon set, I dare say that no one can come up with a cultivation technique stronger than the void god-destroying spear art. To be precise, the void god-destroying spear art isn't an immortal technique, but a godly skill. Godly skill? So strong? You must be bragging. Then wouldn't your previous master be invincible? Ha 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 ha, what's there to brag about? Of course, the so-called godly skill is on the premise that you have to cultivate to the last stage. Most importantly, it depends on the results of your comprehension. Don't forget, the power of the void god-destroying spear art is determined by your comprehension. My previous master didn't fully utilize the power of the void god-destroying spear art. Furthermore, he only cultivated to the 6th stage. However, that's a bit of a long story. You should focus on what's in front of you and comprehend the first stage. Now, learn the first stage of the void god-destroying spear art. Then, imagine yourself practicing this move. Try your best to practice this move and see if you can comprehend it. Alright. Lu Chen listened to him and learned the cultivation technique. Then, he started practicing it in his mind. Chapter 1208. The first stage of the Void God Slaying Spear, the Void Speed Shadow Spear. According to Sky Pilfer, this move was flexible and flexible. In Lu Chen's consciousness, Lu Chen tried to stab with his spear. It was very ordinary. Damn, what happened to the Speed Shadow Spear? Sky Pilfer suddenly said, if your spiritual energy is not concentrated enough, this move can form a skill astral form. It is impossible to form a skill astral form in a short period of time. But just for this move, your speed is not fast enough, the angle is not tricky enough, and you don't have enough variations. After the Speed Shadow Spear is used, your moves will be exhausted. No, try again. What the hell, how do you know about my practice? Lu Chen was shocked. I am the spirit of the god-slaying spear. Our minds are connected. Even if you are using the god-slaying spear, I will still be able to sense it. What's more, you are practicing the god-slaying spear technique. I don't even need to look to know. Alright, I thought you knew everything I was thinking about. That's troublesome. Master, could it be that you are thinking about things that I can't see? Nothing. What was I talking about? Practicing the spear. Lu Chen took a deep breath, concentrated, and stabbed with his spear again. It still doesn't work. Try again. Lu Chen continued to try. When comprehending space, 1 hour was equivalent to 1 month. This was much more exaggerated than the astral illusion array. When a person's mind was highly focused, their concept of time would become blurry. Lu Chen did not know how many times he had stabbed with his spear. This time, Lu Chen stabbed with the speed shadow spear again. The spear was like a stream of light, arriving in an instant. When the spear was about to be exhausted, Lu Chen took another step. He suddenly exerted force on his wrist, and the spear was bent almost 90 degrees. Lu Chen suddenly let go and the spear spun in the air. Lu Chen held the spear handle and stabbed with the speed shadow spear again. Not bad. You are starting to look like it. Lu Chen didn't stop practicing. He had already grasped the speed and spirit of the rapid shadow spear, but he still felt that he hadn't reached the level he expected. If the god-exterminating spear art was the so-called divine skill, even the first stage wouldn't only be at this level. Lu Chen continued to study his spear art. The so-called speed was actually a form of spiritual energy eruption. Only by erupting with terrifying spiritual energy in the shortest amount of time could one's moves be incomparably swift and violent, catching people off guard. Thinking of this, Lu Chen tried to simulate the process of the spirit core's circulation. This was also thanks to Lu Chen's state of selflessness and the realm of spiritual energy, which allowed him to perfectly simulate the process of spiritual energy circulation in the illusion space. The moment he made his move, he should greatly increase the amount of spiritual energy he released. It should be helpful for this move. Next, Lu Chen began to integrate his spiritual power into his training. After an unknown period of time. This time, Lu Chen thrust out his spear. In the instant he attacked, a terrifying spiritual strength erupted. This spear suddenly became different from before. Its speed couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Even before the afterimage disappeared, the long spear had already pierced straight through. You integrated spiritual energy eruption? You can't be simulating the circulation of the spirit core. Even Sky Thief couldn't remain calm. I can't simulate the circulation of the spirit core, but I can simulate the circulation of spiritual energy in the meridians, Lu Chen said. Good heavens, this is already very terrifying. How was the spear just now? It's a bit different from my previous master's spear arts. My previous master walked the path of dexterity, but you seem to have given up on dexterity and instead pursued speed, Sky Thief said. Lu Chen suddenly realized that this kind of speed-pursuing move wasn't necessarily worse than the direction Sky Thief had suggested. Moreover, it seemed to be more in line with his fighting style. Fast, accurate, and ruthless. Sky Thief, if I continue to comprehend according to the direction I'm good at, will there be a problem? This, actually, if you comprehend according to the direction I suggested before, you should be able to master my previous master's moves soon. However, the key to the god-slaying spear art is one's personal comprehension. Therefore, if you feel that this direction is more suitable for you, you can practice according to your own method. Lu Chen nodded. He preferred his own method. What's more, the name of this move was Quick Shadow Spear and not Phantom Spear. Perhaps it was the pursuit of extreme speed. Extreme speed. Even Sky Thief could feel that the move Lu Chen was pursuing now was completely different from the variability pursued by his previous master. At this time, Sky Thief didn't give Lu Chen any more suggestions. After all, if there was a different understanding of the move, then there was no doubt that this was the most critical moment. Lu Chen's god-slaying spear was different from his previous masters. He wouldn't interfere with Lu Chen's own comprehension. Extreme speed required an extreme burst of spiritual power. Lu Chen was confident that his spiritual power was at least stronger than that of a 3-star true immortal. However, the most important part of this move was the timing of the burst of spiritual power. The burst of spiritual power had to be made at the moment of the attack. The second attack had to be completed in one go. After the second burst of spiritual power, the second attack would be strengthened and the speed and power of the second attack would be increased. The third time, the fourth time, if he could grasp the timing of a few tenths of a second, the speed and power of the quick shadow spear art would be greatly increased. However, the later it was, the more difficult it was to continue the attack. This was because the speed of the quick shadow spear art had reached a terrifying level. It was impossible to grasp the timing of the burst of spiritual power. Following this method, Lu Chen continued to practice. Spear art, additional attack, additional attack, additional attack. In Lu Chen's consciousness, Lu Chen was practicing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even millions of times. Lu Chen's additional attack had increased from 1 spear to a maximum of 3 spears. At this moment, Lu Chen's main body was suddenly awakened by a bright light. The host of the cultivation method trial seemed to be a little excited. Everyone, you have waited for an hour. Now, after the first stage of comprehension, all the trial takers have comprehended their own cultivation method to varying degrees. Then, it is time to test the results of their comprehension. The pagoda is open. All trial takers, please enter the pagoda for the first round of challenges. Lu Chen opened his eyes and saw that the vines in front of his room had been opened. He lowered his head and saw the small vine next to the futon wriggling excitedly. Lu Chen gently stroked the small vine. "Little guy, you are quite excited. Did you know that I would bring food back for you?" Lu Chen actually had a good impression of this kind of thing that could devour. After all, among his 4 battle pets, 2 of them could devour. Among them, Little Furball had added all its talents to devouring. "Little guy, wait for me to come back." After saying that, Lu Chen directly jumped down from his room and walked towards the pagoda. Below the stage, an extremely beautiful woman looked at the many loose immortals walking towards the pagoda and slightly frowned. Among the many people, she actually saw a familiar figure. That annoying brat who pestered her for an information card and whose original world only had the last coordinates left. "It's him?" The woman slightly narrowed her eyes and couldn't help but snort coldly. "If I remember correctly, the last protection period of his world only has 2 years left." Chapter 1209. The Guardian Spirit of the First Level of the Pagoda, a 5-tribulation itinerant immortal war soul. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He was a little disappointed by the difficulty. However, on second thought, most of the people here were itinerant immortals, and they only used a newly learned technique to fight. This meant that the difficulty was not low. Previously, he had been comprehending techniques in his mind. Now that he finally had a chance to fight, Lu Chen would definitely not miss it. Anyway, there is no time limit for actual combat. I'll use him to practice. Lu Chen clenched the Silver Guts God-destroying sword and looked at the female war soul in front of him. The war souls that everyone faced should be different. All 999 itinerant immortals entered the pagoda. The pagoda was an independent space, so their trials would not affect each other. As it was only the first level, the trial progressed very quickly. Within 5 minutes, 300 to 400 people had completed the trial. Although they were war souls, these war souls were not weak. The trial takers could only use newly learned techniques, so their strength was greatly limited. Therefore, the passing rate was very low. Many people retreated from the pagoda with injuries. They could only watch helplessly as their meditation rooms were sealed by the vines. From the number of people who had come out, about 1/3 of the people had passed the first level of the trial. After 10 minutes, more than 900 people had left the pagoda. The number of eliminated people had exceeded 600. However, as there were still people who had not completed the trial, the second stage could not begin. Everyone was waiting for the last 100 people to leave the pagoda. After 20 minutes, there were only a few people left in the pagoda. After 30 minutes, among all the trial takers, there was still one person who had not left the pagoda. It's been half an hour, and number 101 is still not out? The crowd was already a little restless. 30 minutes. If he could win, he would have been defeated long ago. Why is it taking so long? That guy is still not out? The beautiful immortal master also frowned slightly. However, his world only has a 2-year protection period, and his strength is weak. Participating in the trial this time might be an opportunity that he exchanged with all his savings over the years. Even if he can't win, he should try his best. She still remembered that this guy was willing to take the last coordinate of his world. That was why she thought highly of him. This person persisted for 30 minutes and won't give up. He is quite courageous. At this moment, inside the pagoda, Lu Chen's rapid shadow spear had already reached the 3rd spear. At this moment, the battle soul could not see Lu Chen's spear shadow clearly. Before he could react, the spear tip was already pressed against his forehead. With a boom, a burst of spiritual chi instantly dissipated, stirring up a gust of wind that blew the war soul's long hair and clothes backwards. However, the aftermath of this spirit chi was not biting cold. Lu Chen had already dissolved the attack and dispersed the spirit chi contained in the move. The fighting spirit stood there, not daring to move. It could only stare blankly at the person in front of it, shaking its head continuously. I can still only use 3 shots. Adding a 4th shot is too difficult. The war spirit stared at Lu Chen and said in a trembling voice, "Friend, can't you just give me a quick death?" Lu Chen was a little surprised. "Isn't this a training ground? That means you can practice your skills." The war spirit was speechless. This was a training ground, but the degree of danger here was no different from an ordinary immortal battle. There were still people who were injured, and there were even people who died in the pagoda. Everyone else wanted to win as soon as possible, but this guy actually refused to leave. "It's fine if you practiced a few times, but you used me to practice a few hundred times. Isn't that a bit too much? Although I'm just a war spirit, I also have a main body soul consciousness. Naturally, I have emotions. You clearly know that I can't dodge your spear, but you have to start again every time. Have you ever considered my feelings? You are simply humiliating me. Why don't you just kill me now?" Lu Chen widened his eyes. "Senior, I don't mean that. I just want to practice more. We have no enmity, and I don't want to kill you. Since you don't want to kill me, then leave. You can leave now." "Can't I practice a little more? My spiritual chi has been used up a lot. Actually, I can't practice for much longer. If you continue to humiliate me, I will stand still." Lu Chen sucked in a breath. This war spirit's temper was really bad. It seemed like the other party didn't want to practice with him anymore. There was no point in staying any longer. It was better to leave. After walking halfway, Lu Chen suddenly thought of something. He turned around and asked, "Then, Senior, does this count as me passing? Don't call me Senior. Let's go." Lu Chen hurriedly slipped out of the pagoda. When Lu Chen walked out of the pagoda, he realized that he had gone through a long period of high-intensity training. The rapid shadow spear's speed was extremely fast, and when he attacked, he needed to be extremely focused. Coupled with his spiritual chi bursting out time and time again, Lu Chen was really tired. When he walked down the stairs, Lu Chen was in a daze and almost stumbled and fell. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen woke up. When he looked around, he realized that there were a few hundred trial takers who were comprehending skills with him. They were all gathered there and looking at him coldly. "Hey kid, you made us wait for you for an hour. Do you know that? It's fine if we waited for you, but those divine masters also had to wait for so long. Trash like you, why didn't you die in the pagoda? Normally, a skill can be decided in a few minutes, but you took an hour. What kind of shameless method did you use to pass? People like you can only make it to the next round at most." Moreover, you spent so much effort to pass the first round. Do you think the Divine Masters will take a liking to you? Don't be delusional. Lu Chen couldn't be bothered with them. He found a stone step and sat down to rest. In the stands, the beautiful Divine Master looked at Cultivation Room 101. The vines actually didn't cover the entrance. This meant that this kid had passed. He actually passed, but he took an hour to pass. I'm afraid he used some trick. His strength is still too weak. Regardless, the first stage of the trial had been completed. According to the results, those who passed could swallow the cultivation time in the other rooms. At this moment, the vines on the walls started to wriggle. From their stems, one could see a ball of light flowing and moving between the vines. Not long after, the vines in the originally sealed room also dispersed, revealing the room once again. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. He discovered that the small vines beside the futons in the rooms had all withered after their spiritual energy was absorbed. What the hell is this? Lu Chen's brows furrowed tightly. Then, he turned his gaze to Cultivation Room 101. The small vines in his room had grown a lot. They wriggled their bodies, looking extremely vigorous. In the second stage, 1 hour is equivalent to 3 months. Trial takers, please enter your room, a staff member shouted. Everyone returned to their rooms. After Lu Chen returned to his room, he looked curiously at the happy small vines in front of him. Hey little guy, you're growing pretty fast. Don't tell me you'll grow as big as those guys outside in the future? The small vines bent their bodies frequently toward Lu Chen. They looked like they were nodding. It can't be. You can understand me? Lu Chen was a little surprised. It was said that this was a sacred cultivation ground formed by living creatures. Looking at it now, it really was possible. Chapter 12:10. In the second stage, 1 hour was equivalent to 3 months. Sky Thief, who hadn't spoken for a long time, suddenly spoke. Lu Chen, I think the reason why you can't use the fourth spear is because you haven't grasped the astral body skill. Astral body skill? Lu Chen asked. Yes, the Void God Slaying Spear is a materialization technique. In other words, you need to use your body to comprehend the astral body skill. Because it's the body that directly cultivates the astral body skill, the difficulty is very high. You need to continuously use moves to gain enlightenment. My previous master used 20 years to successfully use the Void God Slaying Spear skill. But you don't have to worry. The power of the 3 spears is already beyond my imagination. You just need to practice step by step. How do I do it? Lu Chen asked. In essence, the astral body is to adjust the operation mode of one's spiritual energy and integrate it with one's skills. However, it is very difficult to achieve this point. Most people use a more traditional method, which is to use countless moves and train for years until they become proficient. In the end, the astral body is formed by itself. Lu Chen frowned slightly. The traditional method didn't seem to have a shortcut, but adjusting the operation of spiritual power? He seemed to have practiced this thing millions of times. When climbing Mount Meru, not only did he have to quickly change the operation of his spiritual power, but he also had to multitask. The difficulty was even more difficult than mastering the astral body skill. Thinking of this, Lu Chen changed the way his spiritual power was released while using the rapid shadow spear. His body and the skill were completely integrated. After a moment, Lu Chen's figure and the rapid shadow spear turned into a stream of light and shot out. Sky Thief, is it like this? Sky Thief didn't reply for a long time. Is it wrong? You learned it? Okay, sorry, I'm a bit tired. I want to rest for a while. Okay, then I'll practice again. A month later, Lu Chen could already use the astral body skill for the 4th time. In the next 2 months, Lu Chen was constantly practicing the astral body skill and the 4th spear rapid shadow spear 3 months later. Of course, 3 months in the cultivation room was just a short hour to the outside world. The vines outside the door opened again, and the second stage of the trial began. The little vine twisted its body excitedly. Lu Chen patted the little vine and said, "Wait for me to bring you something to eat." Then, he jumped out of the cultivation room. There were only 300 people participating in this trial, but these people still remembered Lu Chen. "Hey brat, you can finally scram this time," a bearded man said coldly. "This kind of person wants to snatch the immortal master from us? Can you please use your brain?" Lu Chen looked at these people impatiently and said coldly, "Don't worry, I don't intend to fight with you for the immortal master. You guys practice what you want and I'll practice what I want. We'll mind our own business, but if you guys keep talking here, don't blame me for being rude." "Yo, you're still full of energy." Dozens of people suddenly found a reason to vent their anger, and surrounded Lu Chen. "I finished the first stage in 3 minutes, and you only came out after an hour. Where did you get the confidence to be so arrogant in front of me? I am a rank 7 loose immortal. If not for the rank 7 heavenly tribulation, I would be a true immortal now. Do you believe that I won't kill you right now? It's just a mere 50 spirit tablets. At most, I'll report it again. But I'll definitely let you remember it." Lu Chen frowned. Fighting would lead to expulsion? That would be a huge loss. Those immortal masters were all people who didn't mind things getting out of hand. Seeing the situation here, all of them widened their eyes. Are they going to fight? There's going to be a good show to watch. In the past, we've often encountered this kind of situation. Those who can survive the first stage of the trial are all people with decent strength. There should be something to watch. That's good too. Only in this kind of private fight can we see their strength. When the time comes, we'll take in a few good ones. The beautiful immortal master frowned slightly. The person who was surrounded in the middle was precisely that brat from Earth. This brat's strength is not good, but his ability to cause trouble is not small. In this kind of situation, if no one helps him, he might be beaten to death. But speaking of which, being surrounded by dozens of people, I don't see any fear on his face. This brat's courage is indeed outstanding. At this moment, Lu Chen suddenly shouted loudly, "Manager, someone wants to fight here." When the beautiful immortal master heard Lu Chen's shout, she almost vomited a mouthful of blood. What happened to his courage and courage? Why did he instantly turn into a coward? Immediately, someone walked over and sized up Lu Chen in astonishment. There were many fights here. Normally, they would just watch. Only this brat actually took the initiative to snitch. However, since he had already shouted, they couldn't just ignore it. "They want to beat me," Lu Chen said. "Let me make this clear first. It's them who want to beat me. If I passively retaliate, you can't disqualify me." That staff member held back for a long time. He had never dealt with this kind of emergency before. Other than comprehending techniques, the people who came here mainly hoped that they would be chosen by a good immortal master. What kind of loose immortal does the immortal master like? Obviously, it would not be this kind of person who would admit defeat before even making a move. In the past, even if there was a fight, it would be impossible to pull them apart. In the end, this person was different. 101. Do you know that those who are watching the trial are all immortal masters? The immortal masters should be more willing to see your true strength. Lu Chen said, "What does it have to do with me? These spirit tablets were all earned by Li Shang and the rest through hard work. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was their hard-earned money. Not a single one can be wasted." He definitely cannot waste 50 spirit tablets because of his impulsiveness. As for whether the immortal masters are immortal masters or not, Lu Chen had never considered it. Are you going to interfere or not? Or are you going to casually beat me? If you are going to casually beat me, then don't disqualify me. That person sighed. Encountering such a troublemaker, he was also at his wits' end. Even if he made the immortal masters unhappy, if they encouraged private fights, then this place would not be a cultivation room but an immortal battle arena. Alright, stop causing trouble. The second round of the trial is about to begin. If you don't want to miss the trial, quickly enter the pagoda. When these people heard the steward's words, they all gnashed their teeth but did not dare to make a move. You coward! If you are afraid of death, then beg for mercy. Lu Chen snorted coldly. Afraid of death? I am afraid that you all will die. Arrogant, despicable, shameless. The group of people were already gnashing their teeth in hatred. Lu Chen snorted coldly and swaggered into the pagoda under the extremely hateful gazes of these people. The second level of the trial had an even higher elimination rate. Out of 300 people, only 70 passed. And all those who passed were still waiting in front of the pagoda because there was still one person who had not come out. 3 hours had passed, and number 101 still had not come out from the pagoda. It's that brat again. This time, he will definitely die in there. There were many spectating immortal masters present. Waiting for these itinerant immortals to cultivate had only taken 2 hours, but waiting for Lu Chen to complete the trial had taken 4 hours. It's been 4 hours. What is that brat doing in there? Since when can you pass the pagoda just by spending time? What the hell is going on? 4 hours later, Lu Chen walked out of the pagoda, exhausted. Almost at the same time, everyone looked towards Cultivation Room 101. The vines there did not seal the room. No way, he passed again? The beautiful immortal master was not calm this time. What the hell is this brat doing? Chapter 12:11. The small vine in Lu Chen's room had grown even thicker. Lu Chen touched the vine. What exactly are you? You actually have the ability to control time. In the third stage, 1 hour was equivalent to 1 year in the outside world. This was probably the first time Lu Chen had spent so much time comprehending a technique. Lu Chen wasn't in a hurry to practice the second stage. Instead, he repeatedly strengthened the rapid shadow spear. In this 1 year, Lu Chen couldn't remember how many times he had shot out the spear in his mind. After mastering the astral form, the number of times Lu Chen shot out the spear increased from 4 to 6. 6 spears. After being continuously strengthened by spirit power, the speed of each spear was twice as powerful as the previous one. 6 spears was Lu Chen's current limit. Just as Lu Chen was about to comprehend the second stage of the god-slaying spear, the vines dispersed. The third trial had begun. From the past, only a very small number of people could pass the third trial. Once they passed the third trial, it meant that a large number of immortal masters would recruit them. It could be said that those powerful immortal masters had waited here for a few hours just for this batch of people. Lu Chen also used 4 hours for the third trial. When he came out of the third level of the pagoda, he realized that including himself, only 7 people had passed. Those people had waited until they lost their temper. Anyway, this kid would snitch whenever they threatened him. However, when they saw the vines in room 101 start to devour the vines in the surrounding rooms, they already felt that something was wrong. How could a person who had used all his strength to pass the first level survive the third level? The immortal masters below the stage were also discussing spiritedly. How did that kid pass? He actually passed the third trial. If I remember correctly, the third trial's battle soul was already a 9th tribulation scattered immortal's battle soul. A 9th tribulation scattered immortal's strength is already very terrifying. Before the tribulation, they were all battle-hardened overlords. There shouldn't be any loopholes for him to exploit. The beautiful immortal master narrowed her eyes as she sized up the exhausted Lu Chen. Every time this guy came out of the pagoda, he looked exhausted. It seemed like he had gone through an intense battle. But when he thought about it carefully, he realized that the others who came out, regardless of whether they passed or not, had different degrees of injuries on their bodies. It wasn't obvious on the first floor, but the opponents on the second and third floors were too strong. This point was very obvious. Why aren't there any wounds on his body now? This question would probably have to be asked to the kid face to face. At this moment, one of her bodiless celestials asked, "Celestial Master Ling Long, these 7 people have great potential. Someone has already gone down to recruit them. Should we wait and see if anyone can pass the 4th level of the trial?" Ling Long asked indifferently, "How many people have decided to participate in the 4th trial?" "It seems like there are only 2 of them. One is the last person to leave the pagoda, and the other is a true immortal." "Even a true immortal is here?" "Well, it seems like he obtained some kind of cultivation technique and wants to comprehend it." Although there were a few true immortals who came to Changshu City's cultivation room, it did not mean that there were none. This time, there was a true immortal participating. Ling Long was not interested in that true immortal. Instead, she asked about Lu Chen's situation. "That bodiless immortal kid wants to challenge the 4th level? Doesn't he know that the battle soul on the 4th level is a true immortal's battle soul? If he is not careful, it is very likely that he will die in the pagoda? I believe that the people in Changshu City should have already told him," the bodiless immortal guest said. "Things are starting to get a little interesting." The corner of Ling Long's mouth raised slightly. "I only plan to recruit one guest. Even if the others recognize a master, they can only be considered as ordinary forces in Ling Long's cave. I am a little interested in that kid. Let's wait and see first." At the same time, Lu Chen realized that among the people who had passed the 3rd level with him, 5 of them had already left the trial ground. They seemed to have left with a few true immortals. Previously, someone had already come to ask Lu Chen if he wanted to continue participating in the trial and explained the dangers he would encounter if he continued to cultivate. However, Lu Chen chose to continue cultivating without hesitation. These 50 spirit tablets must be used to their fullest potential. In the 4th level, 1 hour was equivalent to 2 years. Out of the 999 people participating in the trial, only Lu Chen and 1 other person were left. The 2 of them entered their respective cultivation rooms at the same time. At this time, the small vine beside Lu Chen's futon had already grown to the size of those huge vines that covered the entire rock wall. Even the narrow cultivation room had become more crowded than before. Lu Chen did not mind and patted the vine. "Little thing, looks like you ate a lot. You have grown so big." This time, Lu Chen chose to comprehend the 2nd stage of the God-slaying spear, reverse soul roaming dragon thrust. This spear was also a single target attack. Its power was huge, but it was very different from the rapid shadow spear. This was a backhand technique. When used at the right time, one could instantly block and counterattack at the same time. Hence, this technique required one to react instantly when the enemy attacked, defending and attacking at the same time. This was Lu Chen's first time encountering such a technique. Unfortunately, in the imaginary space, Lu Chen could only practice this technique continuously. He could not perfectly display the power of reverse soul roaming dragon. After all, he could simulate his own state but not the enemy's. In a year's time, Lu Chen kept repeating the same movements and practiced reverse soul roaming dragon tens of thousands of times. He had mastered the technique itself. However, because there was no opponent to fight, Lu Chen could only put down the 2nd stage and start cultivating the 3rd stage. Heaven's Fury Spear? Yoi technique? Lu Chen immediately became interested again. I quite like the name. Reverse soul roaming dragon must continue to improve in actual combat. Then I will practice this first. This Heaven's Fury Spear required the full explosion of all the spirit energy in his body. The difficulty of cultivating it was several times higher than the previous 2 stages. Even if it was just an imaginary state, every time Lu Chen practiced it, he would be exhausted and would need a long time to recover. This technique consumes too much energy. It almost doesn't lose to Heaven's burning earth fire. However, Heaven's burning earth fire was a technique and Heaven's fury spear was only a spear technique. It was not difficult to imagine how terrifying the power of this technique would be when Lu Chen mastered it. However, even if Lu Chen had not been lazy, Heaven's fury spear had not been mastered. I have already unleashed all my spirit energy. Why is it difficult to continue halfway? Could it be that my 80 million spirit energy is not enough? Lu Chen frowned. Lu Chen, this technique is not urgent. Even my original master spent 100 years to master it. Heaven Pilfer said. Lu Chen said, "No, I feel that I am just lacking a feeling. Give me a little more time and maybe I can master this technique." "No, I am talking about 100 years. In fact, my original master often went to the cultivation space to cultivate. If you count this time, it has been 100 years." Lu Chen took a deep breath. If it was such 100 years, then it might actually be thousands of years. Lu Chen, I know you are anxious. Earth still has 2 years of protection, but some things can't be learned in a hurry. Heaven Pilfer said earnestly, "You have encountered a bottleneck. At this time, you can't be too anxious." Lu Chen took a deep breath. "I know. Forget it. I am about to break through the 4th level. I will see the situation after that." Chapter 12:12. That true immortal and Lu Chen exited the cultivation room at the same time. At this moment, only these two people were left on the stage. The organizer's manager walked in front of the two and cupped his fists towards the true immortal Lord Qi Hua. Previously, someone reported that there might be someone cheating in the Tower of Trials, so this trial, can it be conducted openly? The true immortal glanced at Lu Chen and smiled contemptuously. "I don't care. Since the true immortal has no objection, then it's decided." Lu Chen stood at the side, his brows knitted together. They didn't even ask for his opinion? The status of an itinerant immortal was really too low. That staff member walked to the front of the pagoda and placed a talisman paper on the vines that wrapped around the pagoda. That talisman paper quickly dissipated. Then, the vines wriggled and the first 3 levels of the pagoda suddenly shrank into the ground. The vines extended outwards, forming a large circle. Not long after, an empty field was circled by the vines. That true immortal sneered at Lu Chen and walked into the circle. "I'll go first. After this round, I'll also leave." "Yes, immortal Lord Qi Hua, please." Lu Chen also wanted to follow in but was stopped by the staff member. "Wait a moment. Isn't it mutually unaffected?" Lu Chen asked. "This is an open trial now, 1 person 1 round." That person said impatiently and ignored Lu Chen. The 4th level of the Tower of Trials was guarded by a 5 tribulation 3-star true immortal battle soul. Although Qi Hua was also a true immortal, he could only use 1 cultivation technique after all. His strength was greatly reduced. In order to avoid being passive, Qi Hua attacked fiercely. 7 swords were by his side. The sword moved according to his heart, attacking wave after wave. This Qi Hua should be 5 stars. Someone below the stage was discussing, "The Moonlight 7-star sword art is really exquisite, both offensive and defensive." Qi Hua's comprehension is also extremely thorough, basically displaying the power of the first 4 move. The results of the immortal battle of Qi Hua are pretty good as well. 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Only, he lost to true immortal Heaven North. He was even able to tie with true immortal Mountain Ape. That's right. Qi Hua seems to have only entered the 7th heavenly layer in the past 100 years. This kind of growth speed can be considered one of the best in the human immortal domain. When true immortal Linglong saw Qi Hua's performance, she nodded slightly. Although Qi Hua is only a 5 tribulation true immortal, his perception and combat skills are excellent. His true strength should not be limited to transcending a level 5 tribulation. Her loose immortal subordinate asked, "Immortal Master Linglong, in your opinion, Can true immortal Qi Hua pass the 5th level? Ling Long thought for a while and said, he should be able to pass this stage. However, the fighting soul for the next stage is a 6 tribulation 5-star true immortal. Whether it is the strength of the Moonlight 7 stars sword technique or his strength, it is not enough for him to pass the next stage. Ling Long's eyes were indeed sharp. This time, after Guan Qihua held on for more than 10 minutes, there were already a few wounds on his body. Fortunately, it was a thrilling victory in the end. There was a round of applause from below the stage. Although true immortals were emotionless, it was precisely because of this that they respected strength more. Qi Hua's performance was remarkable and had already received the recognition of many true immortals. Hey, it's your turn, that staff member said coldly to Lu Chen. Lu Chen stepped into the arena. His opponent's level was the same as true immortal Qi Hua's opponent, a 5 tribulation 3-star true immortal. Even if it was a fighting soul, the other party looked at Lu Chen with disdain. The fighting soul suddenly said, a mere loose immortal, do you know the consequences of challenging a true immortal? Lu Chen looked at the fighting soul. He was quite disappointed just now. The 4th level was only a 5 tribulation 3-star true immortal. Moreover, it was only a fighting soul. I don't know, Lu Chen said. A loose immortal challenging a true immortal is an offense. I will not show mercy. Lu Chen nodded and said, oh. All of a sudden, Ling Long burst into laughter. Immediately, Ling Long was extremely embarrassed. As a true immortal, she actually did such an action that did not match her status. It was really improper. But that guy's expression that deserved a beating was seriously too funny. The fighting soul warned sternly, what did his light mean? Immortal master. The subordinate also looked at Ling Long with some surprise. Forget about seeing the immortal master hold back a laugh. Following Ling Long for so many years, it was rare to see the immortal master smile. Ling Long coughed a few times in a low voice. Cough, cough, what are you looking at me for? Watch him clear the stage. Yes, immortal master, the reason why the organizers wanted to make the trial public, needless to say, was because of Lu Chen. Many people doubted how Lu Chen cleared the first 3 levels. In order to dispel everyone's doubts, they made the challenge public. At this time, everyone's gazes were focused on the arena. I want to see if he really has the ability or just bluffing his way through. The group of itinerant immortals who had previously clashed with Lu Chen also came to the spectator area, looking coldly at the arena. Stinking brat, don't die in the arena. When you're done, we'll take care of you. At this time, the true immortal fighting soul slightly narrowed his eyes. This itinerant immortal did not have the slightest respect for him, and this alone was enough to make him burn with anger. You really ate a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. Today, I'll kill you in front of everyone. Lu Chen pulled out a pure black spear from the void and twirled it in front of him. The fighting soul has inherited the soul consciousness of the master. Seeing how arrogant you are, your master is not much better. That's fine, ordinary battles are not of much help to me. Bring out your full strength, let's see if you can hurt a hair on my head. When these words came out, everyone was shocked. This guy is really arrogant to the extreme. Not far from Ling Long, a true immortal said fiercely, kill him. This is an open trial. If he dares to use any special methods, I'll be the first to disagree. Ling Long also did not expect that this seemingly silly guy would be able to say such arrogant words. This completely overturned her understanding of this guy. Wasn't that guy very cowardly just now? Ling Long's subordinates were also very surprised. Ling Long shook her head. Maybe we all misjudged him. Let's wait and see. At this time, the true immortal fighting soul was completely enraged by Lu Chen, and the large saber in his hand was already slashing towards Lu Chen. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Go to hell. Domineering divine saber, mountain river destruction. Facing the true immortal fighting soul's killing move, Lu Chen held the long spear in his hand and narrowed his eyes slightly. However, his whole body was like a boulder, not moving an inch. Is that guy crazy? Why isn't he attacking? Ling Long's eyes widened. I've already said that he was opportunistic before. Now that I see it, he can't avoid this saber at all. However, at the moment when the saber was about to hit Lu Chen, the black spear suddenly moved. Inverse Soul Roaming Dragon. After the sound of metal colliding, the mountain river destruction was directly deflected, and at the same time, a sharp cold light pierced the true immortal fighting soul's forehead. So fast. How did he break the move? There were already many true immortals around who could not help but stand up. One move to break the opponent's skill, and at the same time, he could take advantage of the opportunity to attack. What kind of spear skill was this? However, after the deity's slaying spear touched the true immortal fighting soul's forehead, it did not continue to stab. Lu Chen's figure moved quickly, and he changed his move to break the inverse soul roaming dragon's attack. Standing behind the true immortal fighting soul, he said coldly, I told you to use all your strength. Didn't you want to kill me? You don't think that you can kill me with this, do you? Again. Chapter 12-13. Tyrant God Saber, Sun and Moon return together. Clang counterattack. Again. Tyrant God Saber, Heaven and Earth Brilliance. Clang counterattack. Lu Chen withdrew the reverse soul roaming dragon's attack and appeared beside the war spirit in a blink of an eye. He said lightly, Your Tyrant God Saber is too weak. Change to a more powerful immortal technique. Again. The war spirit's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as he shouted angrily, You don't be too arrogant. You want an immortal technique? I'll fulfill your wish. Immortal technique, Saber Ancestors 3 Realms. Immortal techniques were indeed extraordinary. At this moment, the entire training ground was rumbling as it was shaken by the surging spiritual energy. However, this was the immortal region after all. The weakest people here were itinerant immortals. The training ground was definitely protected by a defensive array. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed when true immortal Chi Hua started his training. The war spirit's saber swept over. Lu Chen noticed that the spiritual energy contained in this move was actually very mysterious. The spiritual energy was surging, but it was not released. It should be waiting for the last moment to explode with great power. Could the reverse soul roaming dragon block such a powerful attack? The blocking of the reverse soul roaming dragon was different from that of the void guarding. The void guarding directly took the attack head-on, but the reverse soul roaming dragon blocked with little effort. Because of this, as long as the timing was right, immortal techniques could also be blocked and counterattacked. This move is a little challenging. Lu Chen's lips curled up slightly. There was finally some light in his eyes. Sure enough, when the saber was in front of him, the broad-headed saber suddenly exploded with terrifying spiritual energy. Not bad. Lu Chen's eyes widened, revealing a look of excitement. Just as Lu Chen was about to use the reverse soul roaming dragon, suddenly, the saber actually split into 3 right before his eyes. The 3 sabers, carrying the power of thousands of caddies, whistled over. Ling Long actually felt her heartbeat quicken. She was not concerned about Lu Chen's comfort, but the change in the 3 realms move was too sudden. The attack of the 3 realms is already very terrifying. It can be considered a powerful saber technique among the immortal technique. To think that it can create 3 moves in one saber, that's equivalent to tripling its combat power. In actual combat, the 3 forms in one saber should be able to be freely used. However, in this training ground, the fighting spirit saw that the brat had waited until the last moment to make his move. Hence, it deliberately did not use this characteristic in the beginning. Only at the last moment did it suddenly attack. I wonder if that kid can still take it. At this moment, Lu Chen shouted, Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. Rapid Shadow Spear. Lu Chen made use of this opportunity to launch an attack. His entire body quickly merged with his technique, transforming into a star and piercing straight at the battle soul. The three realms has been broken? That brat's reverse soul roaming dragon could break through any skill? What? All the true immortals in the stands stood up and they watched in shock. Ling Long also stood up in shock. That brat is prepared. He has already seen through the differences between the three realms. What's more frightening is that he actually changed the reverse soul roaming dragon's counterattack to the rapid shadow spear. Lu Chen's rapid shadow spear was fast to the extreme. The speed of the first spear was already extremely fast. However, the battle soul's reaction was also extremely fast. He hurriedly used his movement technique to try and dodge. Illusionary steps. Suddenly, Lu Chen's rapid shadow spear was twice as fast as before. It almost caught up with the battle soul's movement technique. D***, what kind of spear technique is this? The battle soul angrily shouted, Saber Ancestor Qian Xing. In an instant, the battle soul's figure disappeared. It was actually the movement technique astral body. His speed increased explosively. Lu Chen was now unable to use the divine devil astral body. If he wanted to catch up with the battle soul, he could only increase his speed again. The third spear, the fourth spear, the rapid shadow spear, was so fast that even the afterimage could not be seen clearly. Suddenly, the crowd heard a scream. Following that, two figures appeared from the rapid movement. Lu Chen's spear pierced the battle soul's calf joint. The battle soul could not stand steadily and directly fell to the ground. After rolling for dozens of meters, he crashed into the vines at the edge of the arena. Only then did he stop. The group of genuine immortals were already stunned. My God, that is a rare displacement astral body. That guy actually directly hit the battle soul out of the displacement astral body. I only heard that the displacement astral body's speed can restrain the skill astral body. When did the skill astral body catch up with the displacement astral body? Is he still human? Ling Long's eyes widened. Ever since she came to the seventh heaven celestial realm, this was the first time she was so shocked. What level of itinerant immortal is that kid? Could he be a 9 tribulation itinerant immortal? But even a 9 tribulation itinerant immortal cannot reach the level of crushing a genuine immortal. I can't even see his spear clearly. At this moment, the one who was the most devastated was the battle soul. Saber Ancestor's 3 realms had been broken and he had used the displacement astral body. However, he was still forcibly hit out. This was really something that he could not defeat or run away from. The most terrible thing was that guy had just used the handle of his spear to stab him. His intention could not be more obvious. That guy did not intend to cripple him and was afraid that he would be injured. This obviously meant that he wanted to do it again. Suddenly, the battle soul had a feeling that he was on the verge of collapse. It seemed that he had provoked a terrifying existence that he could not get rid of. Sure enough, number 101 was shaking his head and walking slowly towards him. I actually caught up with the 4th spear. After all, it was just consciousness training. After all, it was still a little lacking. I feel that I need to practice the speed shadow spear more. Hey, are you okay? Need to practice the speed shadow spear more? What are you doing? You have already won. I am warning you, you don't come over. The battle soul wanted to hide, but it was a pity that he was already at the edge of the arena. Why are you so afraid of me? I will not hurt you. Hey, your displacement astral body was really beyond my expectations. It was really not bad. Lu Chen was pleasantly surprised. This was the first time that he had encountered a displacement astral body. Its speed was really fast. After being praised by Lu Chen, the battle soul was not happy at all. Come, I will help you up. Don't come over. Don't be so distant. Didn't you want to kill me? How can you give up so quickly? How did you become an immortal? I. The war soul had a stupefied look on his face as Lu Chen forced him to stand up. Now, he looked at Lu Chen with fear in his eyes. What kind of monster was this? I held back just now. You should be fine. Let's practice again. Do you have any more powerful immortal skills? I know. You are afraid that if you show your strength, your master will be at a disadvantage in the immortal battle. It's okay. Let's practice the Saber Master's 3 realms and the Saber Master Qian Xing's astral body a few more times. The battle soul was forced to attack again. After 20 hours, the battle soul's lower limbs were a little weak. He did not use the saber, saying that he could not lift it. Lu Chen allowed him to not use the saber and just practice. However, there was also a request. The Saber Master Qian Xing had to do his best. We have practiced for a day. I can't practice anymore. The battle soul looked at Lu Chen with grievance. This guy did not seem to have any intention of stopping. It was too scary. Has it been a day? Lu Chen had forgotten that they had practiced for so long. Anyway, his attack did not really explode, and his spiritual power was almost not consumed. 80 million spiritual power points was enough for him to practice for a decade. He was indeed a little tired, but perhaps he was too focused. He did not feel anything. I don't want to inject spiritual power into the Saber Master's 3 realms anymore. But I am tired. Can't you overcome it if you are tired? I don't want to overcome it. The battle soul choked and almost burst into tears. He, a genuine immortal battle soul, had been humiliated for more than 20 hours. Chapter 12-14. The war soul expressed his determination to refuse to cooperate. As for him saying that he wanted to kill Lu Chen, he had already forgotten about it. Now, he only wanted to go home. You really don't want to train anymore? Lu Chen was a little regretful. You only trained for 4 hours at the start, now you have to train for 20 hours. Even if you beat me to death, I won't train anymore. Why don't you just kill me? The war soul said stubbornly. Lu Chen sighed. You have also trained with me for so long I won't kill you. Forget it, I will go to the next level to take a look. The surrounding group of true immortals had not left yet. They did not know why they had sat here for more than a day just to watch that itinerant immortal train. This is really an eye-opener. That guy bullied the true immortal war soul until he cried. Ling Long's subordinate shook his head and sighed. Ling Long suddenly thought that the war souls on the previous levels were probably in the same situation. No wonder this guy was always the last to come out. It was probably because the war soul could not stand him anymore. Lu Chen had already passed this level. Then, the second question that people were concerned about came. Would he continue to challenge the level? Even true immortal Qi Hua had already given up on continuing the trial. He was just an itinerant immortal. Could it be that he wanted to continue? At this moment, Lu Chen had already returned to room 101 and continued to train. My God, he still wants to continue. The war soul on the 5th level of the pagoda is a 6th tribulation 5-star true immortal. At the same time, the news of someone wanting to challenge the 5th level of the pagoda in the trial area spread like wildfire in Changshu City. Have you heard, there is an itinerant immortal? It should be an itinerant immortal. He wants to challenge the 5th level of the pagoda. What? An itinerant immortal 5th level of the pagoda? And an itinerant immortal? Then he must be an extremely powerful 9 tribulation immortal. Quick, inform the immortal master to come to the trial area of Changshu City immediately. It can't be. How many years has it been since someone challenged the 5th level of the pagoda? Even true immortals usually only reach the 4th level. An itinerant immortal actually challenged the 5th level? If it is true, inform the immortal master immediately. We will go over immediately. Oh, the 5th level of the pagoda? If he can pass, I, Immortal Master Bashya, am willing to recruit him as my #1 guest. For a time, outside Changshu City, Immortal Master level experts suddenly appeared. They must have received the news and teleported here. In a small Changshu City, a large number of true immortal experts suddenly gathered and rushed to the training area. At this moment, only Lu Chun was continuing to cultivate in the entire training area. When he returned to his room, he saw the vines that had taken up half of the room. He smiled and said, "Little guy, you're growing too fast. Move aside and return my futon to me." The vine wriggled, and a tentacle touched Lu Chen's face playfully, making Lu Chen itchy. "Ha ha ha ha, stop messing around. This time I can cultivate for 4 years. I want to seize this opportunity and see if I can comprehend the Heaven's Fury Spear." The vine seemed to be very obedient to Lu Chen's words. It moved its body and revealed Lu Chen's praying mat. Lu Chen sat on the praying mat and entered into a state of cultivation. After training again and again, Lu Chen was still unable to completely comprehend the Heaven's Fury Spear. Before it could fully activate, his spirit energy would become chaotic, causing him to have no choice but to stop and adjust. In these 4 years, Lu Chen did not give up. Since the original owner of Heaven Pilfer could learn it, then he would definitely be able to learn it. Just like this, 4 years passed in the blink of an eye. On the last day, Lu Chen did not practice his spear. Instead, he was thinking. What was the problem? Heaven Pilfer said that this move required a vast amount of spirit energy. Could it be that he did not have enough spirit energy? But the reason for the skill's failure did not seem to be due to the lack of spirit energy. Instead, when the skill was released, the spirit energy gushed out too violently, causing him to be unable to control it. A skill that clearly had enough spirit energy but was unable to be activated. This had never happened before. Perhaps only the Void God slaying spear art had such a situation. Heaven Pilfer said that I lack an epiphany. But Earth only has 2 years of protection left. How long would it take for this kind of epiphany to come by? Lu Chen was somewhat anxious. It was obviously impossible for him to wait for an epiphany in 100 years to comprehend this Heaven's Fury Spear art. In order to be able to use this move, he had simultaneously activated Celestial Demon Symbiosis, Celestial Demon Astral Body, and other auxiliary skills. Anyway, it was an imaginary state, so there was no problem of drawing it out. But until now, there was still no progress. The spirit energy is gushing out too violently. I can't control it. Lu Chen gritted his teeth. Don't tell me I have to raise the level of spirit energy to be able to comprehend it? Heaven Pilfer suddenly said, "My master's spirit energy is only at the level of spirit energy manipulation." Lu Chen sighed. It seemed that the problem did not lie here. After the end of the last day of cultivation, when Lu Chen came out of the cultivation room, he found that the number of people in the spectator stands did not decrease. Instead, it was several times more than before. Is being an immortal so free? Lu Chen shook his head. This group of people had been watching him cultivate for almost 2 days, but the number of people was still increasing. Before Lu Chen left, the vine wrapped around Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled and patted the vine. It seems like all the spirit energy in the room has been eaten by you. I don't know if you will still be able to eat after winning this time. The vine only intimately slid on Lu Chen's face, as if it was worried about Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled. He did not expect this plant to be able to understand humans. Don't worry, I will be fine. After saying that, Lu Chen jumped down from the rock wall. The staff member changed from his previous indifference and excitedly ran over. Unfortunately, Lu Chen did not give him a chance to get close and directly entered the training grounds. From the 4th floor onwards, the pagoda had changed form. Now that it was the 5th floor, it was still in the form of an arena. He guessed that the staff member wanted to tell him about this. However, Lu Chen did not care. He only wanted to practice more, and he did not care if others saw him or not. In front of him stood a cold-looking man. If he was not a war soul, he was no different from a real person. To be able to see me means that you are very strong, the war soul said coldly. Lu Chen was not in the mood to reply. He took out the god-slaying spear. I have almost mastered the rapid shadow spear and reverse soul roaming dragon, but I have not mastered the heaven's fury spear. Forget it, I don't want you to practice with me this time. Let's end this quickly. Use your strongest move. Lu Chen looked at the war soul of a 6 tribulation 5-star immortal. The strongest move? You are really arrogant. The war soul narrowed his eyes. Alright, I will do as you wish. Immortal level spirit slave to Qi Yu's soul. With a boom, the spirit energy in the area exploded. The wind and clouds surged. 100-meter-long giant holding a huge axe stood in front of the war soul. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. This time, his opponent was really beyond his expectations. It was actually a spirit master, and what he summoned was actually Qi Yu's spiritual body. Suddenly, the war soul burrowed into Qi Yu's body. From Qi Yu's chest, a third arm grew out. Spirit slave astral constitution. Lu Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. This time, his opponent seemed to be quite strong. Chapter 12-15. The reason why it was said that spirit controllers were stronger was because regardless of whether it was their main body or battle soul, the spirit bodies they summoned were all of the same strength. That was to say, even if the real body of this fighting soul, the 6 tribulation 5-star true immortal, came here and summoned the Qiyu spiritual body, it would be no different from the one Lu Chen was facing now. To put it simply, fighting this war soul was equivalent to Lu Chen facing the true body of a true immortal. The 3-armed Qiyu was faster than expected. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived in front of Lu Chen. Immortal technique, splitting heaven and splitting earth axe. At this moment, when faced with the giant axe, a normal person's first instinct was to dodge. After all, the axe was several times larger than a person. However, Lu Chen's expression did not change. He was as immovable as a mountain. The principle of reverse soul roaming dragon was to use 4 tails to deflect 1,000 caddies. No matter how strong the opponent's attack was, as long as he grasped the right timing, he could still use reverse soul roaming dragon to block this attack. Is that guy crazy? That's a skill activated by Qiyou's spiritual body. How could a spirit controller who could transcend the tribulation and become an immortal have a weak spirit pet? Those are all overlord-class spirit bodies. The combat strength of an immortal spirit body like this even surpasses that of a true immortal's true form. Just as the giant axe was about to smash down, Lu Chen suddenly moved. I don't care what kind of spiritual body you have. If I can't even block your attack, how can I destroy a god? God-destroying void spear, reverse soul roaming dragon. Lu Chen held the void god-slaying spear in one hand and swung the spear. The moment it collided with the opponent's skill, a loud boom rang out, and a burst of spiritual energy exploded. The ground beneath Lu Chen's feet cracked. It could be seen that even if Lu Chen dodged the attack, the power of this move was still extremely terrifying. At the same time, Lu Chen injected a large amount of spirit energy into the god-slaying spear. Instantly, a terrifying spiritual force erupted from the spear. With another loud bang, the ground collapsed. But at the same time, the heaven-splitting earth-splitting axe was actually deflected by the reverse soul roaming dragon, slashing past Lu Chen's side. He blocked it. He can even block Qiyou's celestial skill? The crowd watched the battle in shock. For example, many true immortals could not guarantee that they would be able to unleash such a powerful attack. In the end, it was still blocked by the reverse soul roaming dragon. Ling Long muttered, "Void god-destroying spear. I seem to have heard of this cultivation technique before. Unfortunately, there was no time for her to carefully recall, because Lu Chun had already shot towards Chi Yu like a beam of black light. Rapid Shadow Spear. The giant axe slammed into the ground, splitting the earth apart. Fortunately, there was a powerful defensive array around the arena. Only the ground inside the arena had been penetrated, and it did not extend outwards. Lu Chen's attack was simply too fast. Chi Yu did not have enough time to retrieve his battle axe. A huge defensive shield appeared around his body. Universal Spirit Shield. The swift shadow spear directly smashed into the spirit shield. Suddenly, a spirit aura ring exploded in the entire arena and crashed into the defensive array. It didn't break? Lu Chun coldly snorted. Seeing that Chi Yu was retreating with the help of his soul shield, Lu Chun fired 2 more shots. The third spear, the Rapid Shadow Spear, directly pierced through the heavenly spiritual shield. However, Lu Chun had only broken the shield in the end. He quickly followed up with 2 more shots. The 5th shot, the Rapid Shadow Spear. At this moment, its speed and power had already reached a shocking level. Chi Yu's displacement could not avoid Lu Chen's attack. A black shadow flashed past. Not long after, Lu Chen withdrew from the astral state and stood behind the giant Chi Yu's spiritual body. He drew a spear flower and withdrew his spear. It was done in one breath. There was a big hole in Chi Yu's chest. His arm was covered in blood. After a while, the perfected immortal war soul finally could not bear it and fell out of Chi Yu's body. At this moment there was also a big hole in his chest, but it should not be fatal. He fell to the ground and raised his head to look at Lu Chen in shock. You are really an itinerant immortal? Impossible. Even if your void god-destroying spear is exquisite, it is impossible for you to comprehend it to such a terrifying level. Lu Chen turned to look at the war soul. With a long spear and a sharp sword in hand, so what if they are gods, Buddhas, immortals, and demons? I am me. Why should I envy immortals? The perfected immortal war soul probably could not understand the meaning of Lu Chen's words. However, Lu Chen did not explain. After he finished speaking, he walked down from the arena. The perfected immortals on the arena looked at Lu Chen as if they were looking at a monster. This guy defeated the 5-level spiritual altar guardian war soul in seconds. And he is a spirit controller. He took a few hours to pass previously. Now that he is serious, he passed the level in less than half a minute? What kind of ability is this? This guy, who exactly is he? Ling Long stared blankly at Lu Chen's figure. Was this guy really that ignorant brat? Wasn't his strength a little too terrifying? This guy is totally different from before when he is serious. Not to mention itinerant immortals, even perfected immortals may not be able to defeat him without sufficient ability. But he has only been in the 7th heaven for 4 years. The staff walked shakily to Lu Chen and said carefully, this little brother, do you still want to continue with the next trial? Lu Chen frowned slightly. Do you still need to ask? Of course I want to continue. I have paid for it. The crowd below the arena instantly exploded. He still wants to continue? No way. He wants to challenge the 6th level of the pagoda? Oh my god, how many years has it been since someone challenged the 6th level of the pagoda? 100 years ago, someone did, but that person was a perfected immortal. The next level seems to be a 7 Tribulation 6-star perfected immortal war soul. Is he really an itinerant immortal? What did he mean by what he said to the war soul? Does he not care if he is a perfected immortal? He is definitely not a perfected immortal. After a perfected immortal opens the immortal path, we can all feel it. This guy obviously did not open the immortal path. It's just that his strength is a little too exaggerated. If he really destroys the 6th level of the pagoda, I, Bashya Deity Master, may not be able to recruit such a talent. Lu Chen did not care about what the others said. He returned to Cultivation Room 101 and continued to cultivate. Although there was not much progress in the Heaven's Fury Spear, Lu Chun did not give up. He had already thought about it. In these 8 years of cultivation, he would focus on cultivating this spear technique. Practice makes perfect. Who knows, he might have an epiphany as he cultivated. Even if there was no progress, it was actually just a waste of an hour's time. It would be a waste not to do such a business. Moreover, every time he came out, there would be a good opponent to strengthen his skills in actual combat. This was very important to Lu Chun. After understanding the ability of the Void's god-destroying spear, through the War Soul, he could also deduce the ability of a perfected immortal. When he returned to the room, the vines had already occupied half of the room. Lu Chun only had a small space to stay. Lu Chun did not mind and sat down cross-legged. Thinking about the staff's strange question, Lu Chun could not help but feel amused. The cultivation technique trial is like eating a buffet. After spending money, you have to eat it back. Of course, you have to pass the level. Asking me if I want to continue, I don't know what you're thinking. An hour later, on the 6th level of the pagoda, Lu Chun came out to challenge the 7 Tribulations 6-star true immortal war soul. From this level onwards, it seemed that he had reached the upper limit of the vine's devouring. The effect of the cultivation room was fixed at 1 hour, which was equivalent to 12 years in the outside world. However, this did not stop Lu Chun from continuing to cultivate. An hour later, on the 7th level of the pagoda, Lu Chun came out to challenge the 8 Tribulations 7-star true immortal war soul. Another hour later, on the 8th level of the pagoda, he faced the 9 Tribulations 8-star true immortal war soul. At the end of the last hour, when the vines spread out outside Lu Chun's training room, the spectator stands were already filled with people, 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Today, someone would challenge the 9th level of the pagoda, the 9 Tribulations 9-star true immortal war soul. Regardless of whether it was the immortal master or not, at this moment in Changshu City, everyone wanted to see this grand battle that had not appeared for hundreds of years. Chapter 12-16. Lu Chun was not in a good mood. He had been comprehending the Heaven's Wrath Spear for decades, but there was no progress. No matter how careful he was, once the skill was about to explode, his spiritual energy would go out of control. He could not remember how many attempts he had made. He had failed time and time again, but he had to pull himself together again and again. He was mentally and physically exhausted. Could it be that I can't master this move after all? I haven't made any progress in that cultivation space for decades. I feel like I'm getting old. Lu Chun shook his head as he walked out of the room. It seemed that comprehending the cultivation technique could no longer help him in his cultivation. At this moment, a staff member ran over, trembling. "Sir, the cultivation technique trial is about to begin." Lu Chun glanced at him and said listlessly, "I know. You don't have to tell me." "No, this trial is different from the previous ones," the staff member said anxiously. Lu Chun was slightly surprised. "What's the difference?" "This time, because the opponent is too strong, you can use other auxiliary methods." Lu Chun frowned slightly. 9 Tribulations, 9 stars. Isn't it just 1 more star than before? I think the increase in strength at this level is not as much as before. Sir, it's not like that. Every fighting soul has a different proportion of the owner's soul consciousness. Their strength is also different. Moreover, your opponent this time is not human. Lu Chun looked at the staff member strangely. Isn't this the human race's celestial realm? Where did this foreign race's true immortal come from? It's not considered a foreign race, but... Sir, do you know what this trial field's original form is? I don't know. The Great Mongol Tree. The Great Mongol Tree? Yes, the Great Mongol Tree. Each leaf is a world. Those cultivation rooms are actually leaves on the ancient tree. Although this is only a small branch of the great Mongol tree, it has the same ability. The staff member continued, Sir's next opponent will be the manifestation of the great Mongol tree's consciousness. It can't be. The great Mongol tree only has 9 stars? Lu Chen asked doubtfully. No, it's only displaying 1/10 of the strength of a 9th stage 9-star true immortal. It's basically equivalent to a powerful war soul of a 9th tribulation 9-star true immortal. Milord, although the great Mongol tree has only displayed the strength of a 9 calamity 9-star true immortal fighting soul, it knows countless martial arts. If it really is a 9 calamity 9-star true immortal fighting soul, it will be one of the strongest. At this moment, it is impossible for you to defeat it with only one martial art. Lu Chen's dull eyes gradually lit up. The stronger his opponent was, the more excited he got. This was a habit he had since he entered Jiutian. One of the strongest. It's a pity that it's only a fighting soul, but at least it's more interesting than the previous ones. I can use other support skills, right? Yes, but you can't use other offensive skills. Lu Chen nodded, then turned around and walked towards the ring. When Lu Chen stepped onto the arena stage, the entire practice area, including the 2 massive stone walls, was completely sunk into the ground. The scope of the arena stage had expanded by more than 10 times. Lu Chen looked back. His practice room had already disappeared. Those small vines should be a part of the great Mongol tree. There shouldn't be any danger. Retracting his divine sense, Lu Chen sized up his surroundings. The arena stage had become slightly larger, but there were no other changes. At this moment, there was no one else in the arena except for Lu Chen. Just as Lu Chen was looking for his opponent, several vines stretched out from the ground and intertwined with each other, forming the outline of a human's meridians. They filled the muscles and covered the skin. Not long after, a beautiful woman appeared in front of Lu Chen. After being covered by green leaves, it turned into a long green dress on her body. Lu Chen looked on helplessly as the vines turned into a living person. He blushed slightly. During the process of this woman taking shape, Lu Chen saw many things that he shouldn't have seen. Although he knew that this wasn't a real person, Lu Chen still felt a little embarrassed. He looked back at those spectators. They were all unmoved and calm. Lu Chen sighed. As expected, they were all experienced people. They didn't find it strange. It seemed that there was no hope of finding an immortal companion in the immortal realm. The person opposite him spoke. What, are you shy? No, no. What kind of joke is this? What kind of world have I not seen? Lu Chen straightened his back and said. That woman covered her face and laughed. Yes, one look and I can tell that you are someone who has seen the world. That's why you kept touching my body, right? Lu Chen almost vomited blood. He stared at that beautiful woman. You can't be a small vine? Everything here is a part of my body. What do you think? Lu Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. My goodness, his final opponent was actually the little guy in the room. The woman's eyes were smiling. I don't mind telling you that I know both the Rapid Shadow Spear and Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. It's impossible for you to win against me. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. You secretly learned my skills. How is this called secretly learning? I can't learn from you cultivating in your mind. But you passed the 8th level of the pagoda and practiced your spear in my body. I can't not learn even if I don't want to. As she spoke, the woman still had a shy look on her face. Lu Chen stared at the woman. You learned my spear arts just by watching me use my moves. The spirit chi here is all under my control. Since I have figured out the spirit chi circulation of your moves, I naturally know your moves. As for comprehension and whatnot, I have learned no less than thousands of skills. I shouldn't be worse than you. As she spoke, the woman extended a vine from her hand. The vine wriggled and formed the shape of a spear. A moment later, A spear that looked exactly the same as the void god-slaying spear appeared in the woman's hand. I can also imitate your weapon. Lu Chen frowned. If what the other party said was true, then he was afraid that this time he would be in trouble. He could only use support skills and the void god-slaying spear, while the other party was not restricted. As for attributes, the primordial Mongol tree should not give it to him. When he fought with the primordial Mongol tree, he did not have any advantage and was completely suppressed. It's been 800 years. You are the first person in these 800 years that I am so interested in. The woman smiled charmingly. Oh, wrong. It should be said that you are the person that I am most interested in these thousands of years. A mere mortal barging into the immortal domain, this is truly unheard of. Isn't that right? The moment these words came out, the entire place was silent. Immortal? What did this mean? There was no need to explain. This number 101 was not even an itinerant immortal. Kid, seeing that you are so good to me, I promise you that if you win, I will give you a special reward. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. The woman quickly kept her smile. But if you lose, then sorry, I will not be merciful. After all, I really want to trap you in my body forever. The corner of Lu Chen's eyes twitched. How was he going to win this battle? His only hope was probably that move that he had never shown before. But he had not comprehended the Heaven's Wrath spear yet. Chapter 12:17. Are you ready? The woman smiled charmingly at Lu Chen. I'm coming. Suddenly, the woman drew her spear, and Lu Chen couldn't be more familiar with this move. It was the first style of his god-slaying spear, Rapid Shadow Spear. The speed of the woman's first spear was not slower than Lu Chen's. She entered the astral state and shot towards Lu Chen. During the attack, she shot 3 more times in a row, reaching the strength of the level 4 Rapid Shadow Spear. This speed was not something the naked eye could capture. If he could not capture the opponent's figure, he could not use Anonymous Dragon Barrier. Divine Demon Heavenly Eye. Lu Chen immediately activated his Heavenly Eye. Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. Suddenly, there was a loud bang, and a ring of spiritual power spread out in the field, hitting the defensive array with a loud bang. Then, the 2 people in the field were blown away at the same time. Lu Chen was directly repelled, and his whole body hit the edge of the vines like a cannonball. The huge impact made him spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. On the other side, the woman only took 2 steps back and stabilized her body, but she did not intend to follow up with another attack. She looked at Lu Chen with interest, who was vomiting blood. You can actually block the 4th Rapid Shadow Spear. It seems that I still underestimated you. Lu Chen finally caught his breath and looked up at the woman. Just now, he did not completely deflect the Rapid Shadow Spear's attack, causing him to be seriously injured. It was not that the second style of Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon was not as strong as the first style, but he did not grasp the best time to attack. Damn it, I can't even block my own skill. Too bad. Lu Chen shook his head. Just as he finished speaking, Lu Chen's figure suddenly burst out, and he had already used the Rapid Shadow Spear. I can't block it, but I don't believe you can. Rapid Shadow Spear. This time, Lu Chen directly increased the Rapid Shadow Spear to 6 spears, and its speed and power increased by several times. In an instant, the Rapid Shadow Spear had already arrived, and the spear directly pierced the woman's heart. A huge amount of spiritual power exploded in her body, and the woman was instantly blown to pieces. After Lu Chen landed, he was in disbelief. It ended so quickly? However, a few giggles suddenly came from behind Lu Chen. The extreme speed that you have comprehended from the Void God-destroying spear is indeed very strong. And to be honest, I can only increase it to 4 spears, but you can increase it to 6 spears. This is also very surprising to me. You can't even block 4 spears of the Quick Shadow Spear, so I definitely can't block 6. Since I can't block it, Then I won't block it. Lu Chen abruptly turned around and was surprised to see countless thin branches extending from the ground, once again reconstructing the woman's form. You're still alive," Lu Chen said in shock. The woman covered her mouth and laughed. "Of course I'm alive. Oh, I forgot to tell you before. Even if my strength is limited to a relatively low level here, you still can't kill me. I am everything here and vice versa. Everything here is me." Lu Chen's eyes widened. You're cheating." The woman elegantly waved her hand. "Little cutie, you're wrongly accusing me. I didn't use the power of the great Mongol tree. I also learned this skill myself. If others can have this skill, why can't I?" Lu Chen was speechless for a moment. This woman could learn skills that others had already comprehended when they challenged the tower. This place had existed for who knows how many years, and who knows how many people had comprehended skills here. The number of skills that she had mastered was really innumerable. The woman looked at Lu Chen and smiled. "Don't you like to practice more? Then I'll play with you more. Let's see how many skills your reverse soul roaming dragon can block, and whether it can really go against the gods." Immortal technique Heaven and Earth Root. Countless vines extended from under Lu Chen's feet, crazily grabbing at Lu Chen. Since this woman had already mastered the reverse soul roaming dragon, she naturally knew the weakness of this move. Against powerful single-target attacks, reverse soul roaming dragon was extremely effective. However, against a large number of attacks, although it could block a few attacks, the effect of reverse soul roaming dragon would be severely weakened. Moreover, Lu Chen was currently only facing the siege of the immortal vines. Using reverse soul roaming dragon on these immortal vines was clearly not worth the loss. Lu Chen quickly understood this point and hurriedly dodged using the void technique. However, those vines seemed to have grown eyes and crazily chased after Lu Chen. The way they chased after him was different from Lu Chen's wood-type spells in the past. They did not extend their vines to chase after Lu Chen. Instead, they rapidly extended new vines from the original vines. This way, even if Lu Chen temporarily avoided the attacks, the space that he could move in was getting smaller and smaller. The vines instantly filled most of the space in the entire arena, and they were still chasing after Lu Chen. Lu Chen's eyes widened. If he continued running like this, he would be caught sooner or later. He had to cut off the source as soon as possible. The source was that woman. That woman had already disappeared without him knowing. It was as if she had become one with those vines. After all, this was a piece of cake for her. At that moment, Lu Chen used his spirit energy minute subtlety and discovered that spiritual energy was gathering at the root of one of the vines. Found it. After saying that, Lu Chen directly shot the rapid shadow spear at the target. With a loud bang, the root of the vines exploded. However, there was nothing unusual there at all. Instead, Lu Chen's desperate attack had put him in a desperate situation. "Oh no, I've been tricked." Lu Chen was deeply trapped in a large number of vines. Just as he was about to dodge, his ankle was suddenly entangled by a thin vine. Lu Chen used the sharp blade on the side of his spear to try to jump off the vine. However, the god-slaying spear did not manage to cut the vine that was as thick as a thumb. The woman's voice rang again. "Little cutie, if your god-slaying spear was in its complete form, you might have a chance to cut off my vines. Unfortunately, it's not a divine weapon. Don't even think about cutting off these divine vines." Lu Chen really wanted to use the ultimate sword to cut off the vines. However, he held himself back at the crucial moment. He could use support skills, but he could not use any offensive skills other than the god-slaying spear. Be it the rapid shadow spear or the reverse soul roaming dragon, they were not very effective in cutting off the vines. Perhaps that was the reason why the woman had chosen to use this trick on him. The vine on his ankle quickly climbed up Lu Chen's calf and quickly sucked away the spiritual energy in Lu Chen's calf. If he did not break free, Lu Chen would definitely be drowned by these vines. The woman had said that she wanted him to stay, but Lu Chen was not naive enough to think that anything good would happen if he stayed. F***ck, I'm going to be sucked dry by these vines. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. The woman had directly mastered the first two moves of the god-slaying spear. She knew Lu Chen's weak spot as if she was controlling it. Damn it, I'm about to die. Why am I still thinking about the rules? At that moment, Lu Chen really wanted to use the ultimate sword. At that moment, the woman's voice rang again. Do you want to use your other weapon? However, you'll lose if you do that. If you're not obedient, I won't like you anymore. By then, you won't get your reward. Moreover, I won't abide by the agreement that limits my power. Chapter 12:18. Seeing that the surrounding vines were about to grab him, Lu Chen activated the underworld earth fire and swept his spear at the vines. This time, the spear tip successfully cut off the vines. The earth fire was effective. Indeed, fire restrained wood. Lu Chen planned to use the earth fire to clear the vines, but suddenly, the vines that had just been cut off extended new vines and wrapped around his ankles again. Lu Chen attacked again, but this time, he did not cut it off. He had no choice but to hurriedly use the triple door to escape from the vines. Little cutie, you really surprised me. My body is rooted near the star core and is not afraid of fire, but you can actually cut off an immortal vine. It seems that your fire affinity is very high. Unfortunately, you can only cut it off once. Now that I am on guard, you can't cut off the immortal vine with ordinary moves. The surrounding vines had already covered more than 80% of the space. Lu Chen had nowhere to retreat. The worst thing was that until now, he could not find where the woman's real body was. Lu Chen forced himself to calm down. She said that she was everything here, and everything here was her. Perhaps this was why he could not kill her. That was because one attack could only kill a single vine. In addition, this woman had a large number of high-level cultivation techniques and knew the rapid shadow spear and reverse soul roaming dragon like the back of her hand. She targeted him everywhere, leaving him almost no chance to counterattack. In the current situation, the only way to defeat the Great Mongol Tree was to use the Heaven's Fury Spear, but he could not use it at all. Hundreds of thick immortal vines had already forced Lu Chen into a desperate situation. One by one, the immortal vines finally broke through Lu Chen's defense and wrapped around Lu Chen's body. Lu Chen could clearly feel the spiritual energy in his body being torn apart by these immortal vines. They were like hungry tigers that were fighting for Lu Chen's spiritual energy. In an instant, the spiritual energy in Lu Chen's body became abnormally restless and difficult to control. It's over. This thought flashed through Lu Chen's mind. He had actually lost to the Great Mongol Tree. The immortal vines tugged at Lu Chen's body. At this moment, the woman appeared again. She stood before Lu Chen. The immortal vine also calmed down. However, even though it stopped pulling at Lu Chen's body, it didn't stop fighting for Lu Chen's spiritual energy. At this moment, the spiritual energy in Lu Chen's body was in chaos and he couldn't break free at all. The woman was so close to him, but he couldn't move at all. The woman gently caressed Lu Chen's face, leaned over, and said softly, "Little cutie, it's a pity that you lost. In fact, from the beginning, you couldn't escape from my palm. It's impossible for you to win against me. You didn't even have the slightest chance." As she spoke, the woman directly snatched the spear from Lu Chen's hand and threw it to the side. "Don't worry, I won't let you feel any pain. You will soon become my new nourishment, and we will never be separated again." Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He could not move his head at all, and could only look at the god-slaying spear on the ground. Even his weapon had been thrown away like this. This was something that Lu Chen had never experienced before. From the beginning of the game, the ending was already decided. Just like what you are doing now." After the woman finished speaking, she retreated into the vines and disappeared. The immortal vine around Lu Chen straightened him, and he sat upright on the ground. Just like when Lu Chen was comprehending the skill and sat upright on the futon, ending the final battle with the beginning of the game, the woman had already controlled Lu Chen in the palm of her hand in the spectator stands. The crowd had already seen that Lu Chen was tightly wrapped by the immortal vine, only revealing his face. That kid is indeed very strong. Unfortunately, no one can win against the primordial Mongol tree. The disparity in strength between the two sides is too great. I didn't expect that the trial area was really a living thing. This was only a rumor in the past, but today it has finally been proven. Actually, you guys haven't been here long enough. This rumor has been around for 800 years. Last time, someone reached the 9th level. Unfortunately, the result was the same as this kid. Therefore, in the future, you can only reach the 8th level at most. The 9th level is an undefeatable existence. Lu Chen felt that the spiritual energy in his body was being crazily absorbed. He closed his eyes and tried to control the circulation of his spirit core to reduce the loss of spiritual energy as much as possible. And, still not willing to give up? The woman's voice sounded in his ear. But your meaningless struggle won't change anything. The woman didn't lie to Lu Chen. A moment later, Lu Chen lost control of his spirit core. A large amount of spiritual energy rushed out like an army of thousands of men and horses. It was completely out of control and crazily rushed out. Am I really going to die? Lu Chen had this thought for the second time. But if I die, then there will be no more hope for Earth. All the efforts of Li Shang and the others would become meaningless. Lu Yi was still living on Earth, Xiaoyi was still living on Earth, Li Muhua, Leng Na, Kuang Lang and the others were still living on Earth. Father was still suffering endless torture in the heaven-penetrating prison, and there was still no news of Mother. It was ridiculous. Some people died, but he couldn't die. There were still too many people who needed his protection and too many things for him to do. Suddenly, Lu Chen frowned. At this moment, spiritual energy was crazily escaping from his body. It was completely out of control, and this feeling was familiar. Wasn't this very similar to the situation when the Heaven's Wrath Spear was used? It was just that every time this happened, Lu Chen always wanted to control this crazy spiritual energy. In a situation where he couldn't control it, it would eventually lead to the failure of the skill. But what if he didn't control it? Let the spiritual energy go crazy, angry, collide and roar. Was the profound meaning of the Heaven's Wrath Spear in not controlling it? The woman's voice sounded in his ear again. Little cutie, how much spiritual energy do you have to be able to hold on for so long? Fine, I'll just treat it as a good meal. But at this moment, Lu Chen, who hadn't spoken for a long time, suddenly opened his mouth. What is the special reward you mentioned? And? You still have the mood to talk to me about this? Special reward? If you pass the 9-story pagoda, you will have my approval. I can give you a set of cultivation technique. I believe you will be very interested. 9 transformations of the celestial demon? Lu Chen said, in these thousands of years, you might know about the 9 transformations of the celestial demon. The woman chuckled. You are not too stupid. Do you really want it? Unfortunately, you are now like this. Obviously, you won't have the chance to get this reward. At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed from below the stage. Look, isn't that spear, isn't it moving? Everyone hurriedly looked at the void god-destroying spear that was thrown on the ground. At this moment, the spear body trembled slightly. A moment later, the spear body stood upright on its own and shot rapidly towards Lu Chen's right hand. The woman was also quite surprised. Artifacts had artifact spirits, and it was normal for them to be summoned by their masters. However, Lu Chen's spiritual energy was already in chaos. How could he still summon his own weapon? At this moment, the person who was entangled by the divine vine opened his eyes. he said coldly. 9 transformations of the celestial demon, I want it. Chapter 12:19. The void god-slaying spear shot over from not far away and landed in Lu Chen's trapped hand. The spear body instantly erupted with terrifying earth fire, as if the spear body contained boiling lava. The surrounding vines surrounding Lu Chen were affected by the high temperature and began to shrink their bodies. Even the speed at which they absorbed Lu Chen's spiritual energy slowed down. Little cutie, it's useless. I already said that I'm rooted near the Earth's core. I'm not afraid of your fire element at all. Lu Chen sneered. Whether you're afraid or not, you'll know once you try. Celestial Demon Symbiosis. Dragon God Form. Instantly, Lu Chen's black hair turned white and his entire body was covered in golden scales. Celestial Demon Astral Body. Emptiness of Gods and Demons Arm. Lu Chen's left arm rapidly demonized. After activating all the states that could be activated, even though Lu Chen had a large amount of spiritual energy sucked away, his current state was still extremely terrifying. Primordial Mongol Tree, speaking of which, I still have to thank you for letting me finally understand. The woman looked at Lu Chen in shock. This guy had an epiphany? Lu Chen roared furiously and used his mind to control the void god-slaying spear. Stealing my cultivation technique. Sorry, you haven't mastered it yet. At this moment, tens of millions of spiritual energy poured out like a tsunami. With a boom, with the void god-slaying spear as the center, a ball of dazzling fire erupted and a pillar of fire shot into the sky. At this moment, the training field's defensive array collapsed instantly. The entire training field seemed to have experienced an earthquake. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It shook crazily. The surrounding audience stared in horror at the gigantic light pillar on the stage. That is. What kind of technique is that? What terrifying spiritual energy? This guy's spiritual energy is enough to support such a terrifying technique? What level is this technique? It actually shattered the 4 Desolation Ultimate Formation. He's really a mortal? How can there be such a strong mortal? This was not the real Heaven's Wrath Spear, but only the beginning of the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Other powerful techniques were unable to attack at the beginning, but the Heaven's Wrath Spear already had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Heaven's Fury Spear, don't get close. Ling Long looked at the battle in horror. She would never have dreamed that the kid who had asked to borrow her information card 4 years ago would have such terrifying combat power. On the battlefield, a pillar of fire with a diameter of several hundred meters soared into the sky, as if it wanted to poke a hole in the sky. It was like a stardust anomaly. In an instant, the vines that were wrapped around Lu Chen's body were crushed into powder by the surging spiritual energy. A man with long white hair that was covered in golden scales grabbed the void god-destroying spear in the center of the blazing pillar of light. With the god-destroyer in his hand once again, Lu Chen said in a deep voice, "I'm sorry, but next time, I won't let anyone steal my weapon. I finally understand. The key to Heaven's Wrath Wild Spear lies in the word crazy." Lu Chen's gaze was cold. Not controlling the spiritual energy at all, letting the spiritual energy surge out crazily, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the price, this was the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Suddenly, within the blazing pillar of fire, Lu Chen soared into the sky, reaching a height of several hundred meters. Staring in the direction of the arena, Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Primordial Mongol Tree, you are everything here, and everything here is you. Therefore, to kill you, I have to destroy everything here. Rumble! A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. Under the strong light, Lu Chen was like the god of fire descending to earth. With the void god-destroying spear in his hand, he roared, "Die! Void god-destroying spear, Heaven's Wrath Wild Spear." Immediately after, Lu Chen's entire body fell from a height of several hundred meters like a golden red beam of light. This time, he didn't even need to learn the astral form. Lu Chen directly transformed into the astral form and merged with the void god-destroying spear. Carrying the wrath of heaven and earth, he instantly blasted the ground. Boom, 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 boom. The ground seemed to have been bombarded by countless cannons at this moment. The spiritual explosion spread outwards from where Lu Chen attacked. Suddenly, the ground collapsed under the dual attack of the spiritual explosion and the earth fire. There was a burst of exclamation from the audience. Not good, run. This skill is too terrifying. The earth fire and spiritual explosion are spreading towards here. Teleportation talisman. This was only for those who reacted quickly. Those who reacted slowly had already been affected. One had to know that the Heaven's Wrath Spear was an area attack. These people were only a few hundred meters away from the battlefield, and their defensive array had been destroyed. They were already within the attack range of the Heaven's Wrath Spear. When the ground collapsed, Lu Chen didn't stop and continued blasting underground. At this moment, he finally saw the situation underground. There was an incomparably huge plant growing underground. It was even bigger than the 2 rock walls and the spirit pagoda in the previous trial area combined. What was exposed on the surface was only the tip of the iceberg. This is the 3rd move of the god-destroying spear. You lunatic! You actually comprehended it at this time. The woman's shrill cry echoed in Lu Chen's ears. However, under the Heaven's Wrath Spear, the plant's roots were directly destroyed. The woman screamed, "Stop! I've lost." However, Lu Chen didn't stop and continued blasting underground. "Break for me." Finally, at an unknown depth, Lu Chen pierced through a core that was surrounded by countless vines. That thing was beating like a heart. In the end, it was pierced through by Lu Chen's spear. However, that heart didn't explode from the inside. It actually digested the Heaven's Wrath Spear's fierce spiritual energy and earth fire. However, a green liquid flowed out from that heart. Then, the god-destroying spear was pushed out of the heart by a huge force. Not long after, the vines in the heart wriggled and revealed the face of a beautiful woman. This woman was the one who fought with Lu Chen previously. However, this woman didn't look any different from a real person. She opened her eyes slightly and smiled at Lu Chen. "Why? Do you really want to kill me? Your current strength is far from enough." Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. "Don't you want to kill me too?" The woman smiled. A mortal entering the immortal region is something that heaven and earth can't tolerate. If you can't even pass the 9-story pagoda, you'll die sooner or later. What's the difference if you die in my hands? Lu Chen was stunned. Although this explanation was a little excessive, it seemed to be right. Interesting. You actually found 7 pieces of the life-defying celestial and demon. You're only missing 2 pieces. However, one of them doesn't exist, so I should say that you're only missing 1 piece. Lu Chen didn't answer. A cultivation technique was pushed out from the heart of the vines. The vines carried the cultivation technique to Lu Chen. "This is the reward I promised you. You've only cultivated to the 7th transformation of the 9 transformations of the celestial and demon, and I can only give you the 8th transformation. As for the 9th transformation, I haven't heard of anyone cultivating it for thousands of years. Whether you can find it depends on your luck." Lu Chen picked up the scroll and put it away. "I didn't expect that the one who passed the 9-story pagoda wasn't a true immortal master, Sengoku, or immortal supremacy, but a mere mortal. How interesting. Alright, I'll stop playing with you today. I hope we'll have a chance to meet again." The vines once again wrapped around the woman's face. Being pulled by a certain vine, they quickly withdrew into the ground. Just as Lu Chen was about to leave, the woman's voice sounded again. "Oh right, I'll give you another test. Let's see if you can leave this place." Lu Chen looked over in surprise, only to find that the heart had disappeared without a trace. Chapter 12:20. Lu Chen raised his head and took a look. He had blasted a huge hole in the ground. Although it was a few hundred meters deep, it should not be impossible to get out. No matter what, 50 spirit stones to comprehend the heaven's wrath berserk spear and obtain the 8 transformations of gods and demons. This time I really earned a lot. Lu Chen laughed proudly. But just as he was feeling proud, he suddenly realized that a large number of bricks and stones were falling down from above. Not only that, there were also many figures falling down. At the same time, Lu Chen felt a huge suction force under his feet. Damn, what is this situation? 9 void steps. Lu Chen was still in a good state, but he could not break free no matter what. You old tree. I already said I won, but you still tricked me. Lu Chen wailed as he was directly sucked into the underground black hole. After an unknown period of time, Lu Chen slowly woke up and found himself in a completely unfamiliar place. There were some houses around, but they were all dilapidated with broken bricks and tiles everywhere. Lu Chen touched his head. There were some dried bloodstains on his forehead, probably from when he fell down. Where is this? Lu Chen sat up and looked around strangely. Not long after, he saw a few people. They seemed to have just woken up and were looking around strangely. After seeing Lu Chen, they quickly woke up. It's you. Where is this? You dragged us all into this. What is your purpose? Lu Chen frowned. Looking at their clothes and badges, they should be people from the 7th celestial layer. They might have fallen down together with him. I didn't drag you all in, it was the great Mongol tree. Lu Chen corrected. Can't you see that I am here too? The few people looked at each other, not knowing whether they should believe Lu Chen or not. By the way, you all should be spectators. How did you all fall in? Lu Chen asked. How did we fall in? Isn't this a good thing you did? Half of Changshu City is destroyed. I'm guessing that other than those who ran fast, many people have been sucked in. This black hole is really strange. Back then, I was actually unable to break free. A cold man frowned. Immortal Master, even you are powerless to break free? Those loose immortals asked. That's right. At that time, this kid's Heaven's Fury spear blasted a big hole in the ground. Originally, I didn't care too much, but then a huge suction force came from the big hole and sucked me in. At that time, I circulated my spirit energy to try to break free, but in the end, I failed. This fellow should be a true immortal. And yet, even a true immortal was incapable of fighting back against him. Looks like this world was somewhat special. That true immortal glanced at Lu Chen, thought for a moment and said, Hey, are you willing to acknowledge me as your master? I'm a 7 tribulation true immortal. If you're willing to acknowledge me as your master, I can give you special treatment. Lu Chen didn't even think about it and shook his head. I don't want to acknowledge you as my master. That person did not seem to force Lu Chen. Judging from the strength that Lu Chen had shown, he was afraid that he, a 7 tribulation true immortal, would not be able to recruit him. All right, the true immortal said indifferently. Then, he turned his attention back to the world in front of him. I remember that there should be at least 10,000 people sucked into this world. But now I don't see anyone else. Strange, this world should be an independent world. But since there's an entrance, there must be an exit. Since you're not willing to follow me, then we'll part ways here and look for our own exits. Lu Chen clasped his fists. All right. Hey, the few of you, are you willing to follow him or follow me? The true immortal asked those loose immortals. These loose immortals did not seem to be his hangers-on. After some hesitation, they finally decided to follow the true immortal. Not to mention strength, just based on experience, the true immortal was not someone that Lu Chen could compare to. And to leave this place, perhaps experience was more important than strength. After those people left, Lu Chen found a place to sit down and rest. The Heaven's Fury Spear had consumed too much energy. He needed to recover. I destroyed half of Changshu City? Lu Chen himself did not dare to believe it. The might of the Heaven's Fury Spear was too ferocious. Luckily I fell in here. Otherwise, I would be in trouble if I had to pay for it. Lu Chen shook his head. After a short rest, Lu Chen felt a little better. He immediately called out Rhubarb. Coming to this unknown world and finding the exit, Rhubarb instantly transformed from a cheerleader to the boss of the group. Rhubarb, hee, how have you been recently? Lu Chen touched Rhubarb's neck with a fawning expression. Why don't you take a look and see if we can get out? Rhubarb was finally willing to keep its golden crow mirror. It shook its head and wagged its tail as it ran out. Not long later, Rhubarb's cry came from the ruins in front. Lu Chen hurried over. Could it be that the exit is here? When Lu Chen arrived at Rhubarb's location, he found it digging through a pile of rocks. Could it be a treasure? But these broken bricks seem to have just been broken. The broken parts are still very new, strange. Lu Chen did not care so much as he hurriedly dug through the brick. Not long later, a dust-covered arm was revealed from the rubble. It's a person? Lu Chen hurriedly moved away the brick. Soon, he saw an unconscious woman lying in the ruins. This woman's thigh was completely pierced through by a metal spike. There was a large pool of blood on the ground that had already mixed with the mud. She was also unconscious. As the woman's body was covered in dust, Lu Chen could not see her appearance. He could only see the badge on her chest. It was written 9 Tribulation 5 stars True Immortal. 9 Tribulation True Immortal? Lu Chen's eyes widened. This woman is a 9 Tribulation True Immortal. In the immortal realm, this should be the true immortal with the highest potential. However, the black hole was too strange. At that time, when he was not weak, he had no power to resist. It seemed that even a 9 Tribulation True Immortal could not resist it. It seemed that the woman's injury was not light. He hurriedly pulled the woman out of the ruins. Little Green. Lu Chen called out Little Green. Little Green checked her injury. Boss, let's find a place with a water source first. You need to clean the wound. Then you pull out the metal spike. I'll get the blood. Lu Chen nodded. He carried the woman on his back and walked into the forest. Beside a stream by the forest, Little Green tore open the woman's pants to clean the wound. Boss, it's done. Come here. Lu Chen hurried over. Pull it out directly? Yes, this metal spike is too big. I need the blood immediately. So you pull it out. Lu Chen nodded. He leaned over and pulled it out forcefully. Immediately, the wound bled profusely. Little Green hurriedly sprinkled medicinal powder on the wound to stop the bleeding. She seems to have overdrawn her spiritual power, Little Green said. Could it be that she struggled desperately when she was sucked in? Lu Chen guessed. That's possible. Boss, I'll inject some spiritual power into her. You go to the side. Lu Chen frowned. Why do you want to go to the side? I'm worried about leaving you alone. We still don't know where this place is. Aya, it's inconvenient for you to be here. Besides, I have to clean her up later. Lu Chen blinked his eyes. You can leave this kind of thing to me. Little Green looked at Lu Chen. Boss, in my heart, you're not someone who takes advantage of others. Lu Chen looked at Little Green's trusting eyes. He didn't know why this girl had such an impression of him. Sigh, it seemed that there were some drawbacks to bringing Little Green along. Boss! Okay. I'll go. Well, I'll let Little Furball accompany you. Lu Chen left Little Furball and slowly left Little Green's line of sight. Chapter 12:21. As soon as Little Green finished treating the woman, Lu Chen returned. Boss, you're here. Ahem. Yeah, I should be back soon, Lu Chen said seriously. She's fine now. I'm a little tired too. Lu Chen saw that Little Green didn't look too good, so he called him back to rest. After some cleaning, Lu Chen saw the woman's face clearly. Huh? It's her? Lu Chen recognized the woman immediately. She was the perfected immortal who had lent him her information card to bring him to the immortal bestowment plateau. At that moment, Ling Long opened her eyes and saw Lu Chen staring at her. Ling Long quickly realized that the dress covering her left leg had been lifted up, and her undergarments were also torn open. Her entire white thigh was exposed. Although a perfected immortal's love life might be a blank slate, it didn't mean that she would be indifferent when faced with such a situation. Ling Long cried out in alarm, You've got guts! I'm going to kill you!" She was about to sit up when she felt a sharp pain in her left leg. Lu Chen looked at Ling Long calmly and shook his head. "Don't move. After you were sucked into this world, for some reason, your spirit power was depleted. You were stabbed in the thigh, so I had someone bandage it for you." The woman glanced at the bandage on her leg and recalled what had happened. Only then did she calm down a little. "When I found you, you were already buried in ruins. Rhubarb found you, and my ghost pet, Little Green, cleaned and treated your wound," Lu Chen said as he handed a divine body pill to Ling Long. "Take this divine body pill." Ling Long frowned as she looked at the sincere Lu Chen and then at Rhubarb, who was wagging his tail. She hesitated for a moment. "It really wasn't you? Then, where's your ghost pet?" "She was too tired from treating your wound, so I told her to go back and rest." Ling Long finally let down her guard a little. However, she pushed away Lu Chen's divine body pill and said, "I have my own pills." After saying that, he swallowed a pill. He tore off the bandage on his leg, and the muscles and skin there healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Turn around, I'll change my clothes." Lu Chen shook his head and turned around. A light sound came from behind him. It should be the fairy girl changing her clothes. Lu Chen had been staring at Rhubarb the whole time. Sure enough, this guy understood tacitly and took out his golden crow mirror. However, before Lu Chen could see it clearly, a woman's voice came from behind. "It's done." "Damn, so fast." Lu Chen shook his head and turned around. Ling Long had changed into a light yellow dress, which made her look even more beautiful than before. Ling Long sighed. "I didn't expect that after using all my strength, I still couldn't break free from the pull of the primordial world." She looked at Lu Chen, wanting to say something, but stopped. Then, she saw Rhubarb and bent down to touch Rhubarb. She smiled and said, "You're Rhubarb, right? Thank you. When we get out, I'll repay you for saving my life this time." Lu Chen looked depressed. "Hey, miss, shouldn't you be thanking me? You? Didn't I already help you the last time we met? This time, you can only repay me. We're even." Although the woman was unwilling to thank him, she quickly said, "This is the second time we've met. It's fate. My immortal name is Ling Long. What about you?" Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. This woman was quite interesting. She should be thanking him in her heart. Otherwise, most perfected immortals wouldn't take the initiative to mention their immortal name. "Solipsistic," Lu Chen said. Ling Long had just recovered from her serious injuries and still needed to rest. Lu Chen had also just gone through a big battle. The two of them chose to rest here. The two of them leaned against the tree stump for a moment and spoke at the same time. "Did you just say that this is the primordial world? You are really immortal?" This made the two of them a little awkward. Lu Chen said very gentlemanly, "Ladies first. I'm indeed immortal. I came to the seventh heaven without becoming an immortal." Ling Long looked at Lu Chen strangely. "But how is that possible? I didn't want to. Who asked me to meet him?" Lu Chen said helplessly. Logically speaking, he was going to become a 12th tribulation true immortal. In the end, he wasn't even an itinerant immortal. Back then, in the heaven-reaching pagoda, there was an accident. Lu Chen didn't talk about the immortal supremacy in detail. Although Ling Long still found it hard to believe, if even the great Mongol tree said so, then this matter shouldn't be fake. Ling Long nodded. Alright, Jiutian is indeed big. There are all kinds of strange things, just like this primordial world. Once you enter, it's troublesome to leave. You know where this place is? Lu Chen asked. Ling Long nodded. The Great Mongol Tree. It's said that it has existed since the beginning of the world. It doesn't grow in a particular world. To be precise, it grows between the world and the myriad of worlds. You should know very well what the sixth heaven is like. There are many planets, but the seventh heaven only has one world. Don't you think it strange? Lu Chen frowned. He didn't have the chance to think about these questions. But since Ling Long said it, now that he thought about it, it was indeed strange. The seventh heaven was smaller than the sixth heaven? It seemed a little illogical. Then why is that? Lu Chen asked. Actually, within the seventh heaven, there are countless worlds connected. And the thing that connects these worlds is the Great Mongol Tree. Ling Long said. So, in the seventh heaven, other than the main world being much bigger than any other planet and continent, it also has a passage that connects all living things, which is the primordial world. Lu Chen frowned. Are these worlds the real world? The Great Mongol Tree is also a part of the Jiutian. So, it can only connect to the worlds that have been sacrificed to the Jiutian. However, since ancient times, no one knows how many worlds have been sacrificed. So, the primordial world we entered could be a low martial world, or a high martial world. It could even be the divine martial world. In short, you never know what you will encounter here. The most important thing is to find the exit. Lu Chen blinked. As long as there's an exit, we should be able to find it. Ling Long looked at Lu Chen and shook her head helplessly. There are many exits in the primordial world. Isn't that more convenient? No, these exits may not necessarily lead to the main world of the seventh heaven. Even the 9 tribulation true immortals know about the primordial world. It's also known as the myriad world maze. That's a place we don't want to enter. Hearing the last sentence, even Lu Chen couldn't remain calm. If this place was like the whirlpool world, it would be fine. After all, as long as they left, they could return to their original world. But if there were many exits here, it was equivalent to a maze with countless forks. Chapter 12:22. It was not a problem for Rhubarb to find the exit, but the exit would not say that it led to the seventh heaven. Even if it was Rhubarb, it would not be easy for him to find the way back. Damn it, I only have 2 years left. Lu Chen clenched his fists tightly and asked anxiously, if I can't return to the seventh heaven main world in 2 years, does that mean no one can challenge me? No. After the protection period ends, if someone challenges you and you don't accept the challenge within the stipulated time, you'll be judged as defeated and your coordinates will be transferred to the challenger. Lu Chen was so angry that he gritted his teeth. That primordial Mongol tree woman, she has already lost, but she still did this to me. The next time I meet her, I won't let her off so easily. Ling Long sighed. It's fine if it's you. You came here to challenge the tower. I only came here to choose a guest. I didn't expect to be involved in the myriad world maze. There's also the final battle. It's also 2 years later. Lu Chen stood up anxiously. No, I have to get out as soon as possible. No matter how many exits there are, how many worlds, I have to return to the main world in 2 years. Ling Long looked at Lu Chen strangely. The final battle? How do you know it's 2 years later? Lu Chen explained, I found out from the whirlpool world. The world I went to was 17 years later, which is 2 years later. At that time, my world was invaded. Ling Long thought for a while. The final battle is a war between races. The specific time is decided by each race's celestial supremes. Did anything change in the whirlpool world you went to? There was one thing. In that world, I seemed to have died in the whirlpool world, but in reality, I returned to reality from the whirlpool world, Ling Long said. Ling Long said, "This change is decisive. Because you didn't die, the future will be changed. As far as I know, the races don't seem to be preparing for the final battle. Therefore, I'm guessing that the final battle is not what you need to worry about now." Lu Chen had heard of the butterfly effect. Simply put, he had changed his fate, causing the final battle to be delayed. He had to admit that Ling Long knew a lot. This news relieved some of the pressure on Lu Chen. However, the most important thing now was to leave this place. However, after resting for a period of time, the surrounding sky had also darkened. The two of them decided to continue their journey the next day. Early the next morning, the two of them had more or less recovered, so they set out on their journey to find the exit. Because they were afraid of missing an exit, Lu Chen and the others did not ride on their mount. Instead, they let Rhubarb lead the way while the two of them followed on foot. Along the way, they could see dilapidated houses. Some of them were overgrown with plant. It was obvious that they had been abandoned for a long time. "Is there no one in this world?" Lu Chen asked. "If there is, they should know where the exits are." Ling Long nodded and said, "That's right. Even if these people who sacrificed worlds can't enter the exit, or else they would be killed directly, they would at least know where the abnormalities are after so many years. Then let's see if there are any living people in this world. Rhubarb, find him first." The two of them and the dog walked for a few hours. They did not know how far they had walked. Not far ahead, there was a long city wall. The city wall was dilapidated, and there were a few huge holes on the main wall. Was there a war here? Lu Chen and the others walked over. The weeds under the city wall were already knee-high. When they stood in front of the weeds, Lu Chen realized that there were countless white bones covered in the weeds. Ling Long picked up a thick white bone and frowned. "This is a finger bone?" This finger bone was several times thicker than Ling Long's arm. Obviously, this could not be a human's bone. "This could also be a world of other races," Lu Chen said. "No, this should be a human's world," Ling Long said with certainty. "Did you see the objects in the houses earlier? Whether it is the structure of the houses or the objects inside, I can be sure that those houses were originally inhabited by humans. These walls should be used to defend against these monsters. However, it seems that they did not manage to defend it." Lu Chen crossed the city wall and came to the other side. Sure enough, he found many human bones here. There was a vast expanse of white bones, countless of them. Even though there were only bones left here, Lu Chen seemed to be able to imagine that a large-scale war had taken place here. The humans defended against the demonic beasts, and in the end, the demonic beasts breached the city wall. Millions of people died tragically under the claws of the demonic beasts. It was no wonder that the houses earlier were destroyed, and there was not a single person in sight. The villagers must have retreated behind the walls to avoid the demonic beast. Unfortunately, even if they retreated here, they still could not escape the fate of death. "Let's go." Ling Long followed. "Okay, Rhubarb, let's continue on our way." After walking for about 10 hours, another city wall appeared in front of them. The situation was very similar to the previous one. The city wall had been breached, and there were countless white bones inside and outside the city wall. "This is the second line of defense?" Lu Chen frowned. "It's possible. There are more guards here than before, and their equipment is better." Ling Long threw away a rusty broadsword that she had just picked up. "These people have been dead for a long time. We may have to walk a long way to find them. Let's continue on our journey on our mount." After saying that, Ling Long summoned a huge white phoenix. Lu Chen frowned. Although white phoenixes were rare and should be of the ice attribute, in front of a 10-winged beast, its level was still too low. "Can I ride on your phoenix?" Lu Chen asked. Ling Long frowned and looked at Lu Chen. "Didn't you bring out your own mount? Why do you insist on riding with me?" "I did bring it out, but do you have any improper thoughts about me? I'm warning you. Although you saved me, If you dare to have improper thoughts about me, I will kill you, Linglong said fiercely. Lu Chen could not help but sigh. Fairies were too difficult to get along with. I don't. Think about it. We don't even know how far this journey is. Your phoenix is so big. It won't make much difference if I ride on it. When the time comes, we can take turns to travel further. Lu Chen's last-minute excuse was quite reasonable. Linglong thought for a moment and finally agreed. I'm warning you. My ice phoenix comes from a 10,000-year-old ice mountain. If your affinity with the ice element is not enough, you won't be able to ride it. How much do you want? More than 2,000. 2,000? Lu Chen's affinity with the ice element was 20,000. It was more than enough. Then it's fine. I'm coming up. When Lu Chen sat on the ice phoenix turned its head and rubbed its head against Lu Chen. The ice phoenix's sudden display of friendliness made Lu Chen feel a little awkward. This was because a pair of angry eyes were looking at him. The ice phoenix is born with pride. It has never been so close to anyone other than me. Linglong's eyes were about to spit fire. Lu Chen smiled awkwardly. That. It should be because my affinity with the ice element is higher that it is friendly to me. Your affinity with the ice element is high. There was once a true immortal expert with an affinity of 8,000, but the ice phoenix was not like this. What's your affinity with the ice element? Lu Chen sighed. He had already become an immortal, but women's jealousy was still so strong. This matter had to be explained clearly. Otherwise, it would be hard to get away. 20,000, how much? 20,000. 20,000. You have the mystic ice frost body? Linglong looked at Lu Chen in shock. Lu Chen said helplessly, No, I have the ice element insulator. Linglong was speechless. This guy really did not speak the truth. Chapter 12:23. Lu Chen's past experience told him that if he spoke the truth, he would be treated as a lunatic, just like this time. Fortunately, the two of them were only looking for the exit together, so Linglong did not delve too deeply into it. Riding on the ice phoenix, the two of them crossed 4 or 5 more lines of defense, and finally arrived at a complete city wall. A black mass of giant beasts was attacking the city wall fiercely. At the same time, countless small black dots on the city wall were desperately defending. What surprised Lu Chen was that these humans were using elemental arrows and some low-level spells to attack. Flames, ice, arcane arrows, fireballs, ice balls, and other elemental spells were shot at the beasts. However, when these lizard-like giant beasts were attacked, their bodies would emit light shields, which seemed to be some kind of spiritual power shield. These beasts seemed to have very high elemental resistance. Those people's elemental attacks have to hit them multiple times to be effective, Linglong said. At that moment, tens of thousands of armored warriors jumped down from the city wall. They held weapons and charged into the sea of monsters, fighting with cold weapons. However, they were too few in number and were not very strong in close combat. In the end, they were quickly overwhelmed by the monster army. Linglong frowned. What are they doing out there? Those people don't look like they're good at fighting at all. They're rushing out without any order or formation. Instead, they're rushing out alone. They're obviously going to die. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Those warriors were slow and could not even compare to the archers and elemental mages on the city wall. It was really hard to understand why they wanted to charge into the enemy's ranks. However, at that moment, a series of explosions suddenly occurred on the ground. In the area that the warriors had just rushed out of, a series of violent explosions blasted the monsters into pieces. They're suicide bombers. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Those people were suicide bombers. They did not want to kill the monsters in close combat at all. They wanted to use their bodies as bombs to stop the monster army. Unfortunately, the range of these suicide bombers was limited. The monster army was still attacking crazily. From the ferocious expressions of those humans, it was likely that they would not be able to hold on this time. There were a few mounts flying in the sky. It seemed that other immortals were also passing by. Behind the city wall, a large number of women and children saw the huge divine beasts flying in the sky. They knelt on the ground and prayed to the heavens. "It's an immortal! Immortal, please save us! Quick, child, kneel down with your grandmother. I beg God, please save us. I don't care even if I have to become a suicide bomber, as long as my grandson lives. So many immortals, are they here to save us?" Weren't immortals supposed to slay demons and devils? Please, I beg you to save us. Looking at this scene, Lu Chen had mixed feelings in his heart. The people on Earth were probably no different from them when they encountered natural disasters. This was a world with a certain foundation of martial arts, but the martial arts of the people on Earth had just begun. Unfortunately, all the immortals were just passing by. None of them stopped. "Let's go. They won't be able to hold this line of defense for long. There should be more up ahead," Ling Long said coldly. Lu Chen's cold voice came from behind. "Immortal? Unfortunately, the immortals won't help you." Ling Long turned around and looked at Lu Chen in surprise. "Are you going to help them? Don't underestimate these monsters. Even such a terrifying explosion didn't kill them. It was clear that they weren't easy to deal with. Besides, aren't you in a hurry?" Lu Chen sighed. "Unfortunately, I can't pretend that I didn't see it." With that, Lu Chen jumped off the Ice Phoenix's back. "Hey! Are you crazy?" Ling Long cursed, but it was too late. The guy had already jumped off. Ling Long gritted her teeth and patted the Ice Phoenix. "Let's not care about him. Let's go." The locals could only watch helplessly as the huge mounts flew over their heads. Many of them were crying uncontrollably. "Immortals, why won't you help? Why won't you save the people? Are immortals really emotionless?" At that moment, the people saw a small black dot fall from the sky and land directly on the city wall. The commander-in-chief of the 8th Line of Defense, Zhu Jin, watched as this person landed in front of him. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Lu Chen glanced at Zhu Jin. This guy's clothes were different from the others. He should be the leader. "I'm immortal." The surrounding soldiers looked at Lu Chen in horror. Lu Chen walked quickly to Zhu Jin. "Who's your commander here?" "I'm immortal, I am," Zhu Jin stammered. Lu Chen nodded. "I'm not an immortal. I'm just a mortal. Let me ask you, what are these demons?" "We don't know either. It's just that after our world was sacrificed to the Jiutian, they suddenly appeared. Their strength is terrifying." Lu Chen glanced at the black monster army below the city wall. From here, he couldn't see the end of it. Lu Chen thought for a moment, then took a bow from a soldier and knocked an arrow. The immortal was going to attack? Everyone looked at the bow in Lu Chen's hand. Full bowstring. Everyone's nerves were stretched to the limit. Snap! The bowstring broke. The group of people almost vomited blood. Lu Chen was a little embarrassed. This bow was too weak and couldn't withstand his pull. "Do you have a stronger bow?" Zhu Jin hesitated for a moment. This guy suddenly appeared, didn't say anything, didn't even introduce himself, and came to ask for a bow. But now that the war was urgent, they probably couldn't hold on for much longer. "This Sunset Cold Star bow is the strongest bow in Hong Wu Xing." Zhu Jin directly took his bow from his side. "Except for the war god, no one can fully pull it. I can only use 10% of its power." Lu Chen took the bow and arrows. 4 fingers held 3 arrows, and without another word, he pulled it to the maximum. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 3 cold star arrows shot out like lightning, hitting the 3 largest monsters. The moment the cold star arrows touched the monsters' spiritual shields, the spiritual energy in the shields went crazy. After resisting for a full second, the cold star arrows pierced through the shields. Boom boom boom, The huge bodies were directly pierced by the spiritual energy arrows and exploded, igniting a large area. On the city wall, many soldiers were shocked. Who is it? 3 arrows killed 3 black devil kings. My God, even the war god equaling heaven needs 50 arrows to break through the spiritual energy of 1 black devil king. In the end, 3 arrows killed 3 black devil kings. Who is it? The soldiers beside Lu Chen were already shocked speechless. Zhu Jin looked at Lu Chen as if he was looking at a monster. You still dare to say you're not an immortal? You must be lying. Lu Chen frowned slightly. To be able to block for almost a second, their spiritual shields are that strong? Zhu Jin didn't know how to answer this question. Blocking for 1 second is strong? Brother Zhu Jin, you called the 3 black devil kings that I killed. Is there anything stronger than them? Zhu Jin only felt his legs go weak. He was caught off guard by this call of brother. You should call me Xiao Jin. The Black Devil King is one of the more advanced ones among them. We once investigated the situation in the monster's nest. There is an incomparably huge Black Devil God among the monsters, and all the Black Devil Kings have to obey its orders. The spirit shield of these monsters is provided by it, but it has never acted on its own. It only sends an endless number of Black Devils and Black Devil Kings to continuously attack our line of defense. Lu Chen nodded. As long as we kill the Black Demon God, you should be able to deal with these Black Devils. Chapter 12:24. Old Brother Zhu Jin, send someone to bring me to the Black Demon lair, Lu Chen said. Zhu Jin felt like he was dreaming. He didn't know how to react and just stood there in a daze. Big Brother Zhu Jin? Don't call me Big Brother. I can't accept it. Senior, how should I address you? Zhu Jin said after coming back to his senses. Lu Chen thought for a moment. Just call me Nameless. Let's go. Nameless War God, I've been to the Black Demon lair before. I can bring you there, but we have to avoid the Black Demon army and take a detour. It might take about 2 months. I'm afraid this place won't be able to hold on. No problem. I'll bring you there, Lu Chen said. No need to take a detour. Let's go straight. Ten-winged, come out and work. Just as Lu Chen finished speaking, a huge dragon suddenly appeared above the city wall. More than 10 mounts in the sky were forced to land. The immortals were forced to fight with the Black Demon army. What the hell is this? Why do I have to fight with these things? A certain immortal was depressed. What happened? My mount can't fly? I didn't tell you to land. Only when they saw the 10-winged celestial dragon did they come back to their senses. No way, a 10-winged celestial dragon? Lu Chen grabbed Zhu Jin, who was still in a daze, and jumped onto the dragon's back. 10-winged, this is my friend. 10-winged had a much more explosive temper than the Ice Phoenix. Lu Chen had to greet it before bringing Zhu Jin up. Zhu Jin stood on the dragon's back, trembling, and grabbed Lu Chen with one hand. Nameless War God, this is your mount? Didn't you say you were immortal? How could your mount force an immortal's mount to land? Lu Chen smiled. My mount isn't any worse than theirs. 10-winged, set a fire to relieve the pressure on the defenders. Roar. 10-winged let out a dragon roar. Then, it opened its mouth and released a flaming dragon breath at the ground. The Black Demon army howled in pain in the flames. Quite a number of true immortals and loose immortals were caught in the crossfire as well. Cursing and swearing, they could only watch as 10-winged immortal flew past their heads at high speed. With 10-winged, Lu Chen and the others didn't need to take a detour at all. After a few hours, they arrived at a huge abyss. More and more Black Demon army soldiers crawled out from the abyss and rushed toward the 8th line of defense. It seemed that as long as this place was not taken care of, the line of defense would fall sooner or later. Nameless War God, this is the Black Demon lair. The Black Demon God is inside. Lu Chen nodded. 10 wings, wait for me here. After saying that, Lu Chen jumped down and directly jumped into the abyss. Looking at Lu Chen's back, Zhu Jin could not calm down for a long time. Only after a long time did he mutter to himself, "This person is definitely not an immortal. Otherwise, why would he care about our matters? I can't believe there is such a brave and fearless person in this world. Perhaps Hong Wuxing can be saved." In less than half an hour, the abyss suddenly collapsed severely. Immediately after, a figure dashed out from within. Lu Chen shouted at Ten-Winged Immortal, "Ten-Winged Immortal, fly further away." Just as Lu Chen finished speaking, a huge beast flew out from the abyss. This huge beast was 200 meters long. Its body was huge, and its entire body was pitch black like a lizard. Its eyes were blood red. "It's the Black Demon God!" Zhu Jin exclaimed. The Black Demon God let out a strange hissing sound. The surrounding Black Demon army suddenly turned around and surrounded Lu Chen. The endless Black Demon army pounced on Lu Chen. Just looking at this scene was enough to make one's scalp tingle. "War God, come up quickly!" Zhu Jin shouted anxiously. Lu Chen looked up and saw that Ten-Winged Immortal was circling at a safe distance. He was relieved. "It's fine. I'm in a hurry. It's better if they attack together." With that said, Lu Chen suddenly drew a black spear from the void and engaged in a fierce battle with the Black Demon army. As time went by, more and more Black Demon armies swarmed toward Lu Chen from all directions. Zhu Jin looked down from the sky and saw that the entire ground was covered in a layer of black. That was the densely packed Black Demon army. It was about time. "Furball, little beast, originator!" Lu Chen summoned his 3 battle pets. As soon as the 3 of them appeared and saw the countless Black Demon army, their eyes glowed. "Haha, Dad, I'm dying of anxiety. We've been in the 7th heaven for years. It's been a long time since we've eaten beast cores." Squeak, squeak, squeak. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Furball was the most dissatisfied and kept squeaking. It was never a picky eater, but it still hadn't eaten a full meal. How infuriating it was. "Furball, leave the biggest one to me. It doesn't matter what you eat. I'll leave the rest to you." With that said, Little Beast charged at the Black Demon God. Furball quickly enlarged and rushed into the enemy's formation with Originator. The Black Demon army couldn't hurt the Originator at all since it was immune to its attack. Instead, they kept attacking it. The little Furball seemed to have gone mad from hunger, biting here and there. When Zhu Jin saw this scene, he was so shocked that his jaw dropped. The nameless war god hadn't made a move yet. His 2 battle pets and his son were already enough to resist the Black Demon army. Is the nameless war god really not a deity? He's even stronger than a deity. Apart from the little critter, both the little Furball and the little Originator were getting more and more courageous as they fought. This was especially true for the little Originator. After absorbing so many spiritual attacks, it was now able to send out a large number of spiritual attacks with a single slap. It wouldn't taste good if it died. Furball had no choice but to speed up. "Hey, you 3, there are still 20 minutes left. I'm in a hurry." Lu Chen was standing at the center of the battlefield. Unfortunately, none of the Black Demons could approach him. Gradually, those Black Demons seemed to be scared. They even wanted to turn around and run away when they saw Furball. Little Originator could kill them with one slap, but Hairy Ball would stop after a single bite. Those Black Demons who were bitten by Hairy Ball struggled with their broken bodies, but they couldn't die. It was truly painful. "Dad, 20 minutes is enough." Little Beast had gained the upper hand in the fierce battle against the Black Demon God. In less than 10 minutes, Little Beast killed the Black Demon God with heavenly fire of the Beast God. Then, he turned his hand into a dragon claw and pierced through the Black Demon God's head. He took out the beast core and swallowed it. So comfortable. Little Beast was intoxicated. Then, Little Beast looked at the dead bodies on the ground and jumped high. The virtual image of Tao Tai appeared behind him. He opened his mouth, and the virtual image of Taotai also opened its mouth. Come here, all of you. As long as it was a dead black demon, its head would explode, and a large number of beast cores would be sucked over by Little Beast. Dad, these beast cores are too low level for me. You can have them. Lu Chen blinked. He thought Little Beast had grown up and was sensible. Who knew that Little Beast only gave it to him because its level was too low? However, Lu Chen also needed beast cores. It was just that he had been so focused on Little Beast that he didn't have time to take care of them. Now, it was finally his turn to get what his son didn't want. Lu Chen immediately put away the beast cores. Their level is not high, but they can make up for it with numbers. With so many black demons, it's not too much to get 1,000,000 beast cores. I wonder if it can evolve my myriad things bloodline. Lu Chen muttered. Chapter 12:25. Little Beast delivered a large pile of beast cores, which Lu Chen hurriedly kept away. He had never seen so many beast cores in his life. Especially after reaching the fifth heaven, Lu Chen rarely had the chance to farm monsters. The higher the level of the heaven domain, the more important it was to cultivate. But who would have thought that he would have such an opportunity in the myriad world maze? Lu Chen took a deep breath and said excitedly, "This is a feeling I haven't felt in a long time." The battlefield was a mess. The black demon god was dead, and the remaining black demon army was leaderless. Seeing the terrifying strength of the three lunatics, they fled frantically. Lu Chen could not be bothered to chase after them. After all, the black demon god was dead, and the black demon's strongest defensive spirit shield was gone. Even if there were some left, the defenders could handle it. Of course, the main reason was that Lu Chen did not have much time to stay in this world. With 1.27 million beast cores, Lu Chen did not have time to compare the spiritual energy contained in the beast cores and the demonic beast. He summoned the three beasts back to the 10-winged dragon's back. "Brother Zhu Jin, the black demon god is dead. Will the rest of you be okay?" Zhu Jin came to his senses and suddenly knelt in front of Lu Chen, his voice choked with emotion. "Nameless war god's kindness, I, Zhu Jin, know, the millions of people of Hong 5-star are unable to repay it. Please accept this bow." Zhu Jin wanted to bow, but Lu Chen hurriedly pulled him back. "Brother, you're too serious. To me, it's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning." Zhu Jin refused to get up and said tearfully, "To you, it's just a small matter, but to us, it's millions of lives. We've seen immortals pass by before. To them, the black demon army could be easily killed, but none of them were willing to help. Only you." Lu Chen took a deep breath and sighed. "Heaven and earth are heartless, immortals and demons are heartless. What's the use of begging them? Brother Zhu Jin, please get up. Actually, I also have something that I hope you can help me with. Nameless God of War, feel free to instruct us. Hong 5-star still has millions of soldiers. As long as we can do it, we will do it at all costs." Zhu Jin said excitedly. Lu Chen smiled and pulled Zhu Jin up. 10 wings, let's go back." At this moment, the pressure on the 8th line of defense was greatly reduced. The defense of the remaining black demon army was greatly reduced. Under the dense rain of arrows, they were already forced to retreat. The soldiers were rejoicing that they had managed to block the black demon army's attack. However, news came from the command center that the nameless war god's son had killed the black demon god, causing the black demon army's spirit shield to fail. For a moment, the outside of the barracks was completely surrounded. The commoners and soldiers were all shouting the name of the nameless god of war. "We still have important matters to discuss here. Let everyone be quiet," Zhu Jin instructed his subordinate. Not long after, the outside of the camp finally quieted down. "Nameless war god, I'm sorry. They were just too excited," Zhu Jin said apologetically. Lu Chen smiled and didn't mind. Since it was quiet outside, Lu Chen made his request. He hoped to collect all the possible exits of Hong 5 stars. At this moment, a guard came in to report that a woman had requested to meet the nameless war god. "Commander, that fairy says she's a friend of the nameless war god. Her name is Ling Long." Lu Chen frowned. Why was that woman back again? Zhu Jin looked at Lu Chen, intending to ask for Lu Chen's opinion. "She's indeed my friend," Lu Chen said. "Let her in." Not long after, a beautiful woman opened the tent door. At this moment, dozens of officers in the tent couldn't help but stare at her. This woman was too beautiful. Not only were her facial features flawless, her skin was whiter than snow, her figure was graceful, and her temperament was pure. It was no wonder that the soldier who reported back addressed her as a fairy without any doubt. This woman should only exist in the heavens. "Do you want me to dig out your eyes?" Ling Long said coldly, instantly breaking the silence. Those people hurriedly looked away. Lu Chen shook his head. This woman was still so fierce, wanting to dig out people's eyes at the slightest provocation. "Hey, why are you back?" Lu Chen asked curiously. Ling Long said unhappily, "The Ice Phoenix doesn't seem to be feeling well. I don't know why it refused to leave. Since it didn't go far, I thought I'd wait for you." "The Ice Phoenix isn't feeling well?" Lu Chen's first thought was that it might be a problem with the 10-winged tiger. Given Ling Long's arrogant personality, she might chop him to death if she knew the truth. "Oh, I see. Then it needs to rest for a while," Lu Chen said in a panic and quickly changed the topic. "Brother Zhu Jin, do you have any clues about what I just said?" Zhu Jin thought carefully and said, "Ever since it was sacrificed to the Jiutian, many strange places have appeared in Hong 5 stars. Rumor has it that those who entered these areas have never returned." Lu Chen immediately thought of what Ling Long said. For the people of these worlds, if they accidentally entered the exit, they would be killed immediately. This coincided with what Brother Zhu Jin said. Then, these strange places could very well be the exit. Someone even specially calculated, the great adventurer Zhang Zhanghe mentioned in Travels, that there are a total of 13 strange places in China. The people all say that no one who enters will survive. There are gods and demons inside, and those who disturb will die. I didn't expect Brother Zhu Jin to be a well-read scholar, Lu Chen said in surprise. Zhu Jin scratched his head in embarrassment. "Sigh, how can I be considered well-read? When we were besieged by the Black Demon Army, we were especially interested in the outside world when we were bored. We could only read travel books to quench our thirst." "Are there records of where these places are?" Lu Chen asked. "Yes, there are detailed records in the books. Oh, I have one here. I'll bring it to the war god immediately." After saying that, Zhu Jin hurriedly went to his room to retrieve the book. Soon, he returned with an old book. "I've flipped through it, so it's a bit old. However, I've marked out these places. If the war god wants to buy a new one, it won't be easy to find it." Lu Chen took the book and found that it was densely marked. On one of the folded pages, he found the 13 strange places. "This is very useful to me. Brother Zhu Jin, thank you," Lu Chen said excitedly. "Nameless war god, being able to help you is the greatest honor of my life. Also, this cold star bow, if the war god doesn't mind." Lu Chen immediately pushed the bow back. "Brother Zhu Jin, I have a bow. It's just that I can't use it for the time being. I can't accept this bow. I don't have much time, so I won't disturb you. Ling Long, let's go." Even though Zhu Jin and the others wanted to keep Lu Chen for a few more days, Lu Chen was indeed busy and couldn't stay any longer. He tactfully declined their good intentions and walked out of the tent with Ling Long. What Lu Chen didn't expect was that the people outside the tent didn't leave. They just didn't make a sound. At this moment, seeing Lu Chen walk out, the tens of thousands of soldiers suddenly lost control. Someone passed through the soldiers' line of defense and stuffed a few hot steamed buns into Lu Chen's hand. "War god, we don't have anything good. Take these with you and eat them on the way. Uncle War God, this is my favorite doll. I'll give it to you. Thank you, War God, for saving us. We have no words to express our gratitude. Please accept these rations. 7 out of the 9 lines of defense of Hong Wuxing had been broken. It was obvious that the people here had been starving for a long time. They didn't even have anything decent to offer. Eggs, rations, jerky. These were all things that Lu Chen wouldn't normally eat. However, seeing these soldiers desperately stuffing things into his hands, Lu Chen was so moved that he couldn't speak. Chapter 12:26. Ling Long stood behind Lu Chen, watching in a daze as Lu Chen was drowned in the crowd. Suddenly, she had a feeling she had never felt before. Immortal? Immortals like them were the immortals of one person, and that person was the god of war of everyone. He was loved and respected by everyone, but that was it. Zhu Jin finally rescued Lu Chen and apologized profusely. Lu Chen only smiled and cupped his fists at the people. Thank you for your kind intentions. I can't finish all these things alone, so I'll take some with me. Lu Chen took a few steamed buns and left the rest untouched. Finally, Lu Chen leaned over to the little boy and said with a smile, "Little guy, your uncle likes your doll very much. Can I take it with me?" The little boy was so excited that he could not believe his ears. Of course. Lu Chen smiled and took out 5 beast cores. I've accepted your gift, so I want to return the favor. These beast cores are the beast cores of Jotian Beast. They're for you. After placing the beast cores in the little boy's hands, Lu Chen turned and left with Ling Long outside the city. Ling Long changed her habit of walking in front of Lu Chen and followed behind him silently. Lu Chen looked back at Ling Long in surprise. Why aren't you saying anything? You're weird. Ling Long quickened her pace and caught up with Lu Chen. I realize that you're different from ordinary people. Of course. You're immortals and I'm a mortal, Lu Chen said disapprovingly. No, I also came here through tribulation. I've seen many immortal cultivators, but I've never met someone like you. Lu Chen was still disapproving. Actually, I'm not an ordinary human king. Then you are? I'm the king of savages, Lu Chen said very seriously. Ling Long was speechless. Why was this guy always so unreasonable? Well, I've thought about it before. If this travel record has recorded all the exits, then one of them must be the way back to the 7th heaven main world. Lu Chen suddenly changed the topic. However, there is still a problem. If we take the wrong path, is there any way to return to Hong 5-star? I have a way, Ling Long said as she took out a piece of talisman paper. As soon as he saw the talisman, Lu Chen understood. Teleportation talisman? That's not right. Can I use the teleportation talisman to get out? If possible, we can directly use a teleportation talisman to return to the 7th heaven. Of course not. The teleportation talisman is a teleportation array that is built between 2 regions of the same level. For example, the 7-fold heaven main world is actually a world of the same level within it. However, the world within the myriad world maze is of a different level from the main world. So, the teleportation talisman can be used in the 7th heaven main world or inside the myriad world maze. Lu Chen frowned. That's right. Because of this, we can't directly use the teleportation talisman to return to the 7th heaven main world. However, as long as we record the current world, we can teleport to the same level within the myriad world maze. Lu Chen took a deep breath. This was great news. Fortunately, Ling Long's ice phoenix was not feeling well. Otherwise, he might have gotten lost. However, don't be too happy yet. Even if you find all the exits here, we can't rule out the possibility that none of these exits can return to the 7th heaven main world. In that case, even if we have the teleportation talisman, we don't know when we can return. Lu Chen frowned. Then, are there any worlds that can be confirmed to return to the seventh heaven? Yes. In some divine battle worlds, as long as we find some special markings left behind by Sengoku experts during their training, it means that there must be a passage to the seventh heaven main world in that world, Linglong answered without hesitation. Lu Chen looked at Linglong in surprise. How do you know so much? You're only a 5-star immortal. Even if you're a 9 true immortal, I can only say that you have great potential. But your cultivation time might be even shorter than a normal 5-star true immortal. On the way here, Linglong's theoretical knowledge was indeed something that Lu Chen couldn't compare to. It has something to do with my family. You don't need to ask, just believe what I say. Linglong answered coldly. All right, since she doesn't want to talk about it, Lu Chen didn't ask anymore. Then, in that case, it's useless for me to find so many exits. It's not completely useless. Although we don't know what kind of world is on the other side of each exit, we can determine the strength of the world on the other side through the intensity of the spiritual energy emitted from the exit. Choosing a stronger world will increase our chances of entering divine battle world. Lu Chen nodded. That's good too. Let's just treat this as training. Then let's use our mounts. As soon as Lu Chen finished speaking, he found that Linglong was staring at him with narrowed eyes. At this moment, Lu Chen felt a bit guilty. What are you staring at me for? Before in the tent, when I said that the Ice Phoenix wasn't feeling well, you didn't really believe me, did you? That you're its master, so of course I'll believe whatever you say. Lu Chen gulped. Mounts can't get sick unless they're tired. At the time, I was wondering if someone's mount was too strong, causing the Ice Phoenix to be unable to fly. Linglong said as she walked towards Lu Chen, her gaze unfriendly. Then I saw a lot of true immortals fighting with black demons on the battlefield. With their personalities, they definitely wouldn't do something like that. As she said that, Linglong was already standing in front of Lu Chen. And you went to Black Demon's lair 100 miles away, and came back so quickly. You must have used a mount to get there. Then, was it you who caused the Ice Phoenix to be unable to fly? Linglong's bright eyes stared at Lu Chen with evil intentions, making Lu Chen very nervous. Even if this woman wasn't angry, Lu Chen was still not used to being so close to her, not to mention that she was full of anger. Back then, you didn't want to summon your mount at the same time as me because you were afraid that I would lose face, right? Haha, you really know how to joke. Lu Chen felt that he was laughing a little awkwardly. I was just trying to save trouble. All right then, let's sit on your mount now, Linglong said decisively. Lu Chen held his forehead. It seemed that the only hope of getting through this time was for this scholar fairy to not recognize the 10-winged dragon. Whatever, they would have to meet sooner or later. Lu Chen gritted his teeth and summoned the 10-winged dragon. The huge dragon coiled in the air, glaring angrily at Linglong. The 10 pairs of huge wings behind it covered the sky. 1, 2, 3. 10? 10-winged dragon. Linglong frowned. The 10-winged dragon doesn't exist naturally in Jiutian. Only by evolving the 9-winged dragon can one become a 10-winged celestial dragon. Where did you get the 9-winged celestial dragon? The Sky Pet Instance Dungeon? Lu Chen was shocked. She was indeed a scholar fairy. She even knew this? How did you know it was the Sky Mount Instance Dungeon? There are records in my family's books. The last 9-winged celestial dragon was buried in the sky, and later became the Sky Mount Instance Dungeon. However, even if someone accidentally entered the Sky Mount Instance Dungeon, I've never heard of anyone obtaining a 9-winged celestial dragon. Lu Chen frowned. It was indeed obtained from the Sky Mount Instance Dungeon. However, it needs to be combined after killing all the bosses and obtaining the boss mount. However, since you know about this, you can totally get one yourself. Linglong was so angry that she almost bled. Get one for me? If I can do it, you won't be a problem. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.